Hi, you're with Scott. I'm Ganjikidd. I'm the super chuffer. It's midnight. It's always midnight. This is your right ear and your left ear. It's just something I say at the start of every episode. Today we are doing a bit of a big dynamite, really, kind of dynamite. And it's a bit different for me to be streaming at this time of night on YouTube like this. On Monday, we're going to be doing a special episode of Thus, the podcast that I do every Monday. And that episode is going to be about people who spoke to the police and made an appeal. And then it turned out they'd done it, the chuffers. And then we've got this tonight on Channel 5. So, hello 5 Minute Films in chat. You said you've emailed the police and a few on social media, the Facebook campaign, and a few news programmes explaining you think she's at near Lardbeck Hall. No one seems to care. We'll have a look at that. I'll get the map out in a minute. What we're going to do first is, of course, Channel 5, this interview, Vanished. I'm not going to play all of the TV show. I'm going to stick to the interviews. Although there are a couple of bits of the TV show that I did want to pick out. I was a bit surprised by. One of the things I will say quickly is they've tried to say, like, look, we need to have a campaign going. It needs to be a bit like Crime Watch. And why aren't the police doing enough public-facing work to try and find her? Why haven't they got their own call number? Yeah, I agree with all that. But you'd have to have it as a crime, wouldn't you? You'd have to have it down as a crime for a Crime Watch. This isn't. This is missing persons. The police don't have to get their arses out of gear for missing persons. I don't think the police are doing enough. Everyone said about what a wonderful job they're doing. I don't feel they're doing enough myself. That's just me. Maybe it's because they're not talking to us enough and showing us. And then I've got another bit of a chip on my shoulder, bee in my bonnet, about the fact that they keep going on about how people shouldn't... Like, it's nice that people are going out to help in the village and stuff, but you shouldn't go down and just film a TikTok. You shouldn't go down there and just be like doing your own thing. But then I've seen news media of people who have been down there filming it on their phones for the Independent newspaper or the Daily Mail or this programme or what have you. So like, I'm surprised that they're allowed to do it and no one else is. It's almost as if someone wants to control the narrative. Hello, Dead Hands. I'm glad you found you. Hoping for this. Yeah, well, this is what we've got. So let's get into the actual meat of it and let's go into it. And then we'll start looking at maps and, you know, thinking up ideas and talking about stuff. There is also something else I'd like to say. One quick sort of, what would you call it? A quick sort of disclaimer. That's it, a disclaimer. Obviously, I'm not supposed to say that he's murdered his wife and that he's done it. I'm not supposed to say that. Or I couldn't say that, could I? So I haven't said that. I'm obviously not going to say, you know, something like that it might be that she's caught him having an affair and has come home early and caught him in the act of doing something, and then he's had to do away with her. I'm not allowed to say that. But I'll tell you something. Hello, Squirrel Sniper. 14 missing people every day. Why this? Yeah, I'll tell you what. It's interesting that this one made the headlines. They did say in the programme, some people are posh and they get in the news, and if you're a scrubber, you don't get in the news. And that's not the truth, because Tia Sharp got in the news, and okay, she was a little girl, but like Shannon Matthews got in the news, she was under the fucking bed. Right, you know, it goes on. And I think the problem with the missing people is a lot of missing people do go missing, but I don't know, you've probably lived this yourself, you've probably been in the situation yourself, if anything like me. You've been on those days where you think, fuck this, I just don't want to be here anymore, and like, you know, don't want to necessarily, if you're thinking suicidal, anyone out there, absolutely call someone, talk to someone. Don't do that, that's the worst thing you could possibly do. Talk to someone, there's always another day, keep fighting through it. But you might have decided at some point just to sort of, you know, like I remember times where I wanted to leave home and just like run away from home. You know, there might be people who go missing and it's a bit more explainable. So I think the ones that aren't so explainable should get in the news. And that's not, I'm not saying these 14 people a day are totally explainable. I'm just saying that I think it would make sense that some cases are more what the fuck than others. And I think this one's a bit more what the fuck than others because it seems pretty obvious what's going on. It's this chuffer, isn't it? I can't say that, can I remember? So I don't say that. I'm not saying it. What I want to do is to cover me for my disclaimer, right? Hello, Candy Piker. To cover me for my disclaimer, what I'm going to say is I'm getting messages from my spirit guide. That's what I'm going to do, because you're allowed to do that, aren't you? Like, I've seen them on the telly. Oh, my spirit guide told me this. Oh, she's over there, and it turns out it's wrong and whatever. I'm just getting messages from my spirit guide. So anytime you think, why can't you say chuffer? I say chuffer all the time. I say chuffer. Well, I'm not allowed to. I want to try not to swear because of YouTube. And the other thing I'm not allowed to say is that he murdered his wife and that she came home early from putting the kids at school to catch him doing something, and that it's happened in the house. I'm not supposed to say that. I'll tell you why not. Because that would be like slander or libel. So I wouldn't want to say that on the internet. They'd probably try and shut me down, wouldn't I? People like him might try and shut me down. That's the sort of bad, or they're trying to say it's like vile social media. Talking to social media, that's me behind my head at Informal Films on the old Twitter. I'm just going to quickly tweet what we're doing because, everyone should know. How'd you do a tweet here? There you go, tweet there, drop the picture from my screenshots of, I make the thumbnails just with a screenshot, I can't be arsed. And then a hashtag vanished. And then reaction show live now. That should do it, shouldn't it? And then I'll just open up a YouTube channel page with your channel, and then I'll copy that. Copy. Actually, I'll press on the actual thing. Copy that. Copy that. Okay, right. Now close it, and I'll paste it in the internet, and that'll get us like all of like 2 people will see that. Probably about 2 people might see that, and then they'll think, "What are you doing at this time of night, you chuffer?" Anyway, that's my Twitter. You've found that now. You've seen that. I'll make it disappear, just like this chuffer did with. Anyway, that was my spirit guide said that. My spirit guide said the joke about making things disappear, not me. I'll make the Twitter disappear. This chuffer didn't make his wife disappear. Right, so we're going to just do the interview. We're going to stick to that. I'm not happy with the whole program. I'll say a few bits and pieces at the end. Then we'll look at the map and stuff and bits and pieces. We'll listen to your chat as it comes up, and I'll try and keep up with your chat as it comes up. So if you have got theories and ideas as they come up, do say, I'm not going to be like, oh, we can't talk about that till the end. But I'm already rabbiting on before we've even got started. Statistics say 3 of those 14 turn up after a year, 9 are still missing. So every day, yeah, I agree. There's big numbers, and we should be doing more about it as a society. It should be more visible. All of those other people, yeah. Sadly, the truth of the matter is that if I tried to talk about, if I tried to get the information, I probably wouldn't be able to. And if I tried to talk about it on the internet, it would be less popular than this particular case, even though there's 9 of them, which is weird, yeah. Maybe we should be able to do something about that in the longer term. Maybe I'll look through the missing persons file at the end of this, but I've got to let some of this run. We've got to get into the meat and potatoes here, and I am vegan, so just the potatoes for me.
Today is 2 weeks since Nicky went missing. This might be a stupid question to start with, but how are you doing? What's life been like for the last 2 weeks?
So he starts chewing, and he starts moving his jaw before he starts to answer, which makes me feel like he's got something he's churning over or chewing over. Someone on the internet has said that he's got a mark on his face here that looks like he might have been punched in the face. This is 2 weeks later now, so it's very subtle, but some people have said he's got a strange mark on his face.
Hell. I am still here, obviously.
Still here, obviously. Not been arrested yet, then.
My main focus is the children.
Hello, Ed Derrick. You really wish people would leave her partner alone. Well, he's come out and done a public-facing media interview, and some of the things he said and done in this make him look fucking bad, worrisome, suspect. And no one said why he's been cleared. Apparently he's been cleared. Don't know why, how. And in 90% of these cases, it is the person most close to them. There's lots of reasons why he would be under the spotlight. So leaving him alone, he's obviously quite happy to do this interview for this TV program, probably taking some money for doing it. And ultimately, we want to find out what's happened to Nicola. We want to find out for her children. So if we've got strong suspicions in this sort of way, then we maybe could have them quelled if the police would just come out and say, oh, this is why he's innocent, look, we've studied it, we've looked into it. But until then, I think it's quite fair game. I think it's the internet. I'm not doing anything to him, he doesn't have to come here and watch, although he's obviously watched some of the media about him, because we'll see as the interview goes, he obviously has. The bald guy investigating independently had a book out the same night she went missing, and that guy is actually, a bit of a media whore. He turns up, he actually turns up a bit later than the police. He'll talk about it later, actually, he'll tell us in the episode but he said, what happened is the police turn up, they do their search, and then he turns up with his volunteer dive crew and does a volunteer search. And so he likes, because he's got the sonar equipment and all that, it's helpful, it's all good, but then he gets a bit of publicity out of it, and that's what helps him. So he does the free search, and then he gets to sell his books, and it's all part of it, yeah. He's got a book grift going on, but he also wants to help people and find people who've gone in the river, so that's win-win for him. the negative is that he looks like a bit of an expert and he looks like he's the police, and he's not any of those things. He's just a volunteer, and like I could just turn up and volunteer and the police would say, go home, you TikToker. So, you know, it's a bit sniffy, that, yeah. But I don't think, like, you know, that's a side angle, because he's turned up later and hasn't done anything with this woman. Whereas something, I'm going to suggest, my spirit guide has told me that she didn't even make it to the walk, and that all those things are just a decoy, a red herring, and I think it's more likely she came home quick that day and caught him at the act of something. I'll show you why.
That's 2 weeks.
My spirit guide thinks it.
Hell. I am still here, obviously. My main focus is the children, always has been.
His main focus is the children, always has been. This has been brought up that he may, if you were innocent of this and you were looking for your spouse, your main focus would be on finding your wife, your spouse, your partner. That would be your main focus. I even said it in because I've done one video on this channel already about it. I said I'd probably even put the kids in, like, let the auntie look after them, or the nan look after them. I'm going to be out looking for my spouse. Like, I just think maybe that would be the priority. Although for us on the outside, the children are the priority. We want to make sure that they're kept safe and away from people who would want, well, I don't know if anyone would want to do them harm, but anyone who's capable of that sort of thing.
So that's my focus that gets me through. But, you know, I think when you...
Lots of stuttering over that. I'm going to take it back again. Lots of stuttering. And we got this piece of body language here where he moved his hand, which is either to say, let's go forward and let's move on from this, or a block, like a body language blocker. Like, this is covering my face, I don't want you to see what I'm doing, or it's, you know, a subconscious blocking movement. But he also pushed it forward, like a proactive, positive, active moving forward. Yeah.
Today is 2 weeks since Nicky went missing. This might be a stupid question to start with, but how are you doing? What's life been like for the last 2 weeks?
Hell. I am still here, obviously. My main focus is the children.
There was a little smile there, wasn't there?
I am still here, obviously. My main...
Is this a little half smile? What I'm aware of is that he's done his first interview, and then he's been watching all the replays and the reactions. Like, don't tell me that you're not watching. If you've done an interview for the news, like you at home now, listening to this, or you might not be at phone, you might be out, might be out somewhere on your phone. They've got CCTV at home, so they know he was there. Doesn't mean he's not complicit in the crime, and I'll tell you for why, Ed. I'll tell you for why in a minute. But if it's... and I juggle in my thoughts there, and I lost my train of thought there. We will give lots to chew on and discuss. There will be lots to chew on and discuss, yeah.
My main focus.
I haven't seen that CCTV, bear in mind. I haven't seen that. And I was saying, if you at home, what was I saying? If you...
I am still here, obviously. My main focus.
That's it. If you've seen people... you've done interviews for the news. Let's say it's not something horrible like this, but it's whatever. You're going to go and watch those interviews. You're going to see how you look in the interviews. If you're him, you're going to... Two things, right? If you're innocent, you're going to watch those back, and you're going to say, well, people didn't like the way I behaved in them. They said I didn't look very innocent, and they said there were these red flags. So now I'm going to do an interview that makes me look really innocent. I'm going to try and get control over the editorial. I'm not going to have them making me look bad in this one. And I'm going to look up on the internet how to look good in an interview. I'm certainly not going to do any of that smiling anymore, am I? No more of that smiling. But here I've managed to pause it already within the first 2 minutes. And we've got a half smile, a carefully controlled smile that he's going to shut down. But there's a smile. Don't tell me it's not.
It's the children, always has been. So that's my focus that gets me through. But I think when you're going through something like this, you can't put it into words. I can't say how I'm doing. I can't really explain it because it's not your...
There's our first cut, right? Now this is important. I'm really disappointed in the show. First of all, I could hear the dog walking around. The dog will come into it a little bit later. But they've cut here, and you don't know if they've cut because he said something and they've cut it off and edited it, or if they want to show you the interviewer. We don't need to see the interviewer in any of this. We should have a wide shot of this chuffer telling his story. A wide shot so we can see all his body language. Like, this isn't just like some interview with somebody who's trying to sell a book. This is some chuffer who's like potentially being accused of being complicit in his wife's disappearance, murder, my spirit guide might say to me. So, you know, you've got an opportunity here as a media producer to gather the evidence as best as possible, and they haven't. They've edited it as well, so that's a problem to me. I can't trust this necessarily, but
Put it into words. I can't say how I'm doing. I can't really explain it because.
And he keeps saying, but because, like, and here, there's a moment here where he breathes in, like, a sort of, like, in between the things he says, what he's doing is he's sort of checking about what he's just said and what he's about to say. Like, he's aware of it. And you see how he, like, looks away and he's, like, this face of concern. This is almost like someone playing chess, someone having thoughts, you know, takes a deep breath. Why did I keep saying because? Why do I keep saying but? I need to just finish the sentence. So that's something I'm reading from him here.
But you know, I think when you're going through something like this,
that was perfect as well. But why did you say but? And in his internal dialogue here, he hasn't got any reason to carry on talking. He's making himself look more guilty if he says the wrong thing, so he doesn't want to and look and think and talk. So it was becoming difficult.
I think when you're going
mentally.
through something like this, you can't put it into words. I can't say how I'm.
And we've got another smile while he can't put it into words.
Put it into words. I can't.
That's a half smile. He's trying not to, of course. Now he's trying not to. I knocked the sound off. 1 2 check.
Say how I'm doing. I can't really explain it because it's not your average every day of the
1 2 check. 1 2 check.
Nobody knows really anybody who's ever gone through
I've got
anything
sound.
like this. Who knows anybody who knows anybody? So it's just an impossible situation for everyone.
Okay, it's impossible. Shaking your head and looking away. And you got this lick of the lips. I looked it up because I was looking at it yesterday and I didn't really, I wasn't 100%, but I'm now a bit more confident. The licking of the lips is in anticipation, and the anticipation is that you're going to get what you want, and what you want is to not be found guilty of this thing and get away with it. And so the licking of the lips here comes in. He's saying, and that's my perception of the licking of the lips. Let's see if it applies to what he's saying. What he's saying is it's impossible for you to figure out, so I'm going to get away with it. So that sounds bad.
It's just an impossible situation for everybody, involved.
There's very little movement in the lower half of his face here. His eyes seem almost dead, and you get these occasional twitches of the eyebrows. He's, in my opinion, trying to mask. It's like a poker face we're looking at here. This is someone who is now aware of how they appear on the internet, so they're trying to be careful in the way they portray the character. So we've got to look for these micro expressions and these moments where the mask slips.
It's just an impossible situation for everybody, involved.
I think that's the thing, because...
And there's a nod at the end. And a nod. So it's what? It's what? You didn't finish what you were saying, and now Dan comes in. What are you doing, Dan? Why are you talking over him? If you're doing an interview, let him talk until he's exhausted everything he's got to say. Leave a pause for the editor, and then ask. Explain to him, I'm not going to keep jumping in. I'm going to let you talk. That would be good, Dan. We want to hear what he's got to say.
It's hard to imagine what you're going through. Can you even put it in?
Now, you see the dog. The dog's in the shot. Well, obviously it's happened. I'm assuming this is their house. It looks like a comfortable environment. I'm just assuming it's their house because the dog's there. It would seem normal and logical. They might say, would you like to do the interview at your house? They're not going to do it at the local pub, are they, with all the people poking their heads in? A bit of privacy, either a local hotel or your house. So I'm going to assume it's your house because your dog is there. And it's nice you've got these flowers around. That's quite interesting. I'm not going to go too deep into the house in case it's not their house. But the dog is definitely there. It's a very comfortable environment. Someone's obviously said, like, if you're doing a shoot, someone has said, get that dog out the way, we're shooting. And someone has said, no, wait. Probably the producer who's in charge of these things has said, no, wait. The dog's all right, actually. If you want the dog to be in the room, I don't mind. Thinking to themselves, we might get the dog on camera, and people are asking about the dog, and the dog's a part of this story. Make sure the dog stays in the camera. That's a decision, isn't it? That's a choice and a decision. I don't know if it's necessarily the best one, but we'll see how it plays out.
Into words for us, the sort of emotions that you're feeling
Notice the dog's going over to Dan while they're having this conversation.
at the moment.
Put into words the emotions you're feeling. Again, we get this chewing. This, like, what's happening here is you're ruminating over different thoughts. So you're chewing them over, literally, with your mouth. Like, the searching feeling in your tongue. Just trying to decide on the right things to say. that sort of thing is going on here. A big heavy sigh as well.
For us, the sort of emotions that you're feeling at the moment.
Tell us about your emotions.
Anger.
Anger's the first one. Like a big heavy sigh, and decided, okay, that's fine to say that. Anger. The emotions. I guess the problem I've got here is that if I was asked what are my emotions, that's quite easy because they're the things I feel, so they're right at the top, aren't they? They're what I feel like. It's not like a complex thing, anger, is it? I feel angry. Oh, I'm angry. Oh, I'm a chuffer. I'm alright. I'm alright, cheers. Quite buoyant today. I feel sad. Like, they just come out, don't they? They're just straightforward. And anger is his first one. Anger. So anger's down in there. Big angry. And there's a pause, like...
Utter frustration.
Utter frustration, not just standard frustration, but utter frustration. So I'm thinking, right, remember I was saying, like, there were different options. Everyone's saying that she's either at the... Right, she's gone to the bridge, she's gone to the bench, and then she's either gone in the river, or she's walked off on her own, or someone's took her. I'm saying that's not the full story. I'm saying it could be that she's, in some way, like, ended up back at the house. I get my spirit guide. Sorry, my spirit guide. I'm not certain, and I might be. It sounds ridiculous because we've got CCTV and we've got this and that, but I haven't seen it all, and I don't know exactly how it all fits. But he's thinking about his feelings relating to this thing. He's looking down into his. I don't really think we should lean on the NLP, but I will quickly open up my NLP eyes. Let me get a picture up. So I'm sure auditory digital. Not kinesthetic, auditory digital. This is not a bad sign, I suppose, is it? Remembering like internal dialogue, talking about things with yourself. That's what I said, isn't it? That's what I said. He's thinking over his thoughts. Okay, that all makes sense there, his eyes and his thoughts. But he's angry. Out of all
Anger.
That. Anger.
Utter frustration.
Frustration.
Confusion.
Confusion gets a shake of the head.
Disbelief.
Disbelief.
Surrealism.
Surrealism is a strange word because that's not an emotion. I understand what you could be trying to say here is that looking top left, sorry, it depends on what you mean by his left, or I'm always going to say the one we're looking at is the right, on the right hand side of the screen. If you were going to shoot the penalty, that's the top right corner up there, and so up left would be made up images. It's like constructing an image out of something in your mind. So let me ask you to imagine you're stood in a bar and it's a Russian bar and they've got giant big cocktails on the tables. So if you were to tell me I was in a Russian bar with giant big cocktails on the table and you were to picture it in your mind, you might look up there in that way, possibly. The problem with NLP is it's not a guaranteed certainty, it's just part of a bigger picture, and these days people like put it to the back of the drawer when there's other body language tells that they prefer. But since it's not an exact science and there's no qualification in body language, no one is any more qualified than anyone else, unless you've got a psychology degree, maybe that. But otherwise, it's a bit vague. I haven't got a baseline for this guy. This is as good as my spirit guide, remember? So
nothing feels real.
I was going to ask you that. What feels like you're living someone else's life, or how's it feel?
Thanks, Dan, for coming in and giving words, putting the words in his mouth now.
It just doesn't feel real. Yeah, it's in the Truman Show. Well, I feel like I'm in the Truman Show.
Right, the Truman Show. That's a strange analogy, isn't it? In the Truman Show, it's one man and all the cameras are on him, but he doesn't realise what's going on in his life. The Truman Show, an analogy there would be, I didn't realise things were not as they seem in my life. For example, my wife was having an affair and I didn't know. Or I was thinking I was getting away with an affair and my wife really knew about it and was keeping an eye on me and spy camming on me. That sort of shit. That would be Truman Show-esque, wouldn't it? But the Truman Show is when everyone's looking at him and he doesn't realise he's being looked at, and then it turns out he's the star of the show, the main one, the big cheese, the big I am, and decides to break out, doesn't he, in the end? Break out. Like he's in a prison and he wants to break out. That's the Truman Show.
I honestly believe him.
That's feelings, tastes and smells he was looking down into, what you might call your more kinesthetic memory, your memory of doing things and feeling things and having things done to you.
I feel like I'm in a Truman Show.
Feels like I'm in a Truman Show.
I honestly believe I'm going to wake up at any moment.
I honestly believe I'm going to wake up at any moment, and then we get this sigh. And a shake of the head like, is that good enough? Is that like, you know, is that what people would say in these moments? Because I'm in a Truman Show, I feel like I'm going to wake up. That's not the Truman Show, is it? That's not, they don't connect. There's something wrong there for me. I feel like I'm going to wake up at any moment. I might say, I feel like I'm in Eternal Sunshine of the Spotless Mind, or I'm in, what's that one? Inception. I feel like it's Inception, and I'm just going to wake up and it's all going to have been a dream. Like, he's getting these things, and again, dream, yes, good point, Rudy and the dogs. Hello, Rudy, how you doing? The dream aspect of it instead of the nightmare, which is strange, isn't it? I don't know about the Truman Show any deeper than you're telling me there, but it's interesting that he's used that analogy, but he's used it wrong. Like, if he does feel like he's in the Truman Show, then that's not the case. If you're looking for your missing partner, you don't feel like you're in the Truman Show. Okay, there's some focus on him here. Has he done it? Has he not? Is he in the interviews? I don't know. But the police are not doing that to him. He's apparently so. Like, he's put himself in this interview to come forward. So the Truman Show analogy is not quite correct in that aspect, is it? I think there's something wrong there, but I think he's alluding to something different, and I think that's a bit of a flag.
Yeah, I was just talking to Louise before, you know.
And he does these little things where he says something and then he thinks to himself, should I have said that? Maybe I should check that. Maybe I should check that. So that's a running theme of this.
If I'm going to wake up at any moment, yeah, I was just talking to Louise before, you know, Nicky's sister, and we just say the same thing every day.
So this one really troubles me. I was just talking to Louise before, Nicky's sister, and we both just say the same thing every day. We do, don't we? We both say the same thing. You would do if you got your story straight, wouldn't you? My spirit guide is telling me. If you got together with someone and tried to get your story straight, then you would say the same thing, wouldn't you?
Talking to Louise before, you know, Nicky's sister, and we just say the same thing every day. Just, how are we even in this? You know, we're good people.
How are we even in this? In this? How are we in this? Suddenly we're in this. Me and Louise. What are we in?
Just talking to Louise before, you know, Nicky's sister, and we just say the same thing every day. Just, how are we even in this?
Tom, that's an absolutely great point. When we get to it, I'll pick it up. He said he's 100% she's not in the river. And yeah, he is 100% of that, isn't he? But the interviewer did not do a good job of pushing him. It was very soft.
You know, we're good people.
We're good people. We're good people gets tapped on the leg. You can't see what I'm doing here, but you get tapped on the leg like this. It's almost like we're drawing a line here. We're establishing some form of defence, aren't we? Like, let me just put a little gate out in front of me here. Let me just do this. Just putting a little gate up. We're good people is like a line in the sand that he's creating.
Just, how are we even in this? You know, we're good people. We are good people. We try to live the best life that we can, do the right thing by everybody. You appreciate the small things. You know what I mean?
There's a shake of the head with that. We appreciate the small things, which is a bit of a strange one because he's shaking his head when he says it as well. What I find strange about this is, I can't even remember the question exactly because I do drivel on, but he's making establishing a case that him and Louise are good people. He was just talking to Louise. How are we even in this? We're good people. So, like, that's a strange. If you were asking someone, like, what can we do to try and help find your missing loved one, establishing that me and her, we're good people, we are. How are we even in this? In this.
Just, how are we even in this? You know, we're good people. We are good people.
Repeated that was. It was repetition. Almost like lines.
We try to live the best life that we can do.
We try to live the best life we can do, and he shakes his head and starts blinking. So there's some discrepancy here between, like, being actual good people and trying to live the best life you can do, which is obviously not being exactly good people, not by the letter of the Bible. Might make a few mistakes, you know, might smoke a few cigarettes, or might swear every now and then, or I might oversleep and, you know, you have to do the kids' lunches today, or, you know, I might murder you in the house because you came home and found me in bed with your sister. Those sort of, spirit guides, those sort of things, yeah. And bear in mind, yeah, I do believe Squirrel Sniper that he knows something we don't, and so he is trying to, at the same time as delivering these lines, trying to think about, but not think about what really happened as well.
By everybody.
There's a lot of this. After he said something, he goes away and looks over here, doesn't he, and shakes his head, draws breath, and like recomposes himself with a look down and over here into his feelings, into his things he's remembered tasting, smelling, and feeling. It's possibly just a good idea to try and recompose your thoughts in between questions, but I find it a little bit of a worry that, again, I think it points to the idea that he has some idea of how he appears on camera and is overthinking in a way his responses and how to appear. Again, chewing it over.
The small things. You know what I mean? It just, this is the...
He doesn't really have anything to say there, does he? And yet he's maintaining the conversation. So it's a bit like, you know, they say with a liar, if you just don't say anything, they keep talking because they're worried, they feel anxious. So there's a silence and they keep filling it, and then they keep filling it, and then eventually they say something that they shouldn't have said. Like, stop running your mouth, answer the questions properly. But,
things. You know what I mean? It just, this is the kind of thing that you see on the telly in dramas and stuff like that.
You said that you're...
Awful cutaway there. Why did they cut away at the very end? Is it because he smiled? What did he say next? Why did they cut away? So you know they cut away. You heard the edit like soften out as well.
In dramas and stuff like that.
And looks like that. He carried on and they edited it off. Why? Well, that was a bad edit. I didn't like it.
In dramas and stuff like that.
I can't quite get the pause on. I haven't got the frame by frame control because it's not on YouTube. I had to record
in
it.
Dramas and stuff like that.
That looks like a bit of a smile approaching to me. I think they've edited it off every time he smiles. And it's stuff you see in dramas and stuff like that. So maybe this is where they've got their ideas from. Like if you're trying to cover it, I don't know. It seems like a strange thing. I guess I see what you're saying. You know, it's like you see on the telly, isn't it? The way my wife is missing in dramas and stuff like that. Stuff like that. What do you mean? The news. The news.
You said that your main priority was the girls. Can I ask you how they're doing? Because, you know, you're missing the woman that you love.
So if you were innocent here, then one of the things you'd say is, look, I don't really want to talk about my girls on the news too much. They're not doing great because their fucking mum's missing. So let's try and find their fucking mum. Right, yeah? Let's not make them into media stars or anything like that. We're keeping them out of it. They're sad. Like, what a stupid question. I'd be kind of angry, actually. They're really sad, aren't they? You dummy. Like, of course, it's a stupid question. What I would also, the other side of that, my spirit guide tells me, is that if I in some way was being disingenuous and now all of a sudden the focus is off me, I might breathe a big sigh of relief and really enjoy talking about my children rather than whether I did this thing.
But they're missing their mum, and the questions they must be asking you are heartbreaking at the moment.
Yeah, it's impossible. Any parent knows, you know, that all you want.
There's a touch of the nose there. I don't know if that's major or not. It's the covering of the face again that we don't like in body language. That's disingenuous. The covering of the face. People would say, "Oh, you touch your nose, you're a liar." I don't think it's that straightforward. Maybe he just had a bit of a runny nose, but yeah.
Do is make everything better for your children, isn't it? You know, whenever they're worried or
you want to make everything better for your children. This is a bit strange language. You want to find mommy, you know, and make everything better. In generalities, you want to make everything better for them, I guess. It's a strange choice of language, maybe. I'm not happy about this, but
is
there's a flutter of the eyes as well. There's like a moment, like a really slight momentary flutter of the eyes.
You know that.
That's a look of surprise as well before he delivers.
You know,
so he touches the nose here, and he's like got a look of surprise on him, or maybe a contented surprise.
All you want to do is make everything better for your children, isn't it?
I think the children haven't reacted in the way he is expected. I don't know if he really thought of how the children would react, but I think he's like when he did that on the nose, like a look of surprise. I don't think he really has, like, you know, the children's thinking completely under his hat here. I think it's all a bit like, yeah, I guess. Yeah,
You
maybe.
know, whenever they're worried or they're scared or anything like that, you want to make it better for them. And
That hand action there, you just want them to shut up. You want it to calm down. Those hand actions there, you want to make it better for them. Those hand actions of like, you stay down there. Just, you stay down there. You know what I'm saying? Imagine someone's having an argument and you're doing this to them. Or like the kids are yelling and jumping up, daddy, daddy, you stay down there. You're trying to compress this down. He's trying to keep a lid on it. He's talking about the children and their reactions. Hello, Darkseid to Phil. I'm reacting to this. Chuff has done a television interview about why he didn't kill his wife. Well, I'm not saying he did, but if my spirit guide suggests it, then it might come through me, and that's okay, because whilst you might get slander and libel for saying that he killed his wife, you don't get slander and libel for saying that your spirit guide told you something, so I think that's okay. It might count as a religious thing. So I'm worried about this, and I'll tell you something else I'm worried about. He's talking about his daughter's feelings and keeping them down here, but also I'm worried that this is a sign to me. One of the things that's going to come up through this interview is that when people don't want you to hear something or see something, Darren Brown does his little show and then he's like, what's your favourite colour? And you're like, I'm not going to tell you. And he's like, it's blue, isn't it? And you're like, how did you know it was blue? And he's like, you didn't tell me, but you like kept pointing at your favourite hat, which was blue. So it's a bit like that. The worry here to me is I'm seeing patting down of top surface as well. I'm a bit worried about that. Might come back up. Let's hope it doesn't, for his sake.
Better for them. And
There's the dog.
I can't do that.
He can't do that, and he little frown over there. I'm not sure he should have said that, but the dog has distracted him. And at that moment where the dog distracts him, he says something that doesn't quite come out right. I can't do that. Why can't you make things better for your children? Why can't you remedy their feelings? Aren't you a loving, kind parent? And I know you can't bring mommy back, but like, I can't do that. Feels like well, I've given up then. I can't really help my children, so they're fucked.
Or they're scared or anything like that. You want to make it better for them. And I can't do that.
Or is it that he's about to cry? He's about to cry. Is there something in that? I can't do that. Maybe this is the moment of he's feeling really guilty and sad because he can't make his children feel happy and they're sad, and like he really wants to help them. I could accept that there. That's still an honest response. If their mother was done away with by nefarious means, that would still be your honest, response of feeling sad for your children because you're the one that fucking made their lives a hell. That might be another reason, like that excessive guilt there. The dog's coming into it.
I can't do that.
But if it is crying, he swallows it down quite quickly and he's able to control himself, even though his wife has been missing for 2 weeks.
So
it's not his wife; it's just a partner.
All I can do is.
Squirrel Sniper says, "What's his occupation?" I don't know. Tom Tremaine says, never underestimate the British police. I certainly fucking won't, because I don't want them to do anything to me. I do not underestimate them. I mean, look what happened to Jeffrey Epstein. That wasn't the police, was it, though? I shouldn't have said that guy's name. That's going to get us taken off the internet. I don't underestimate them, no. I'll tell you what, in general, they do a really good job. But I tell you something. Is this guy in custody? No, he's doing interviews for the telly. The thing about the police that I feel the shame is in this case is they've got a really difficult job and they don't have loads and loads of money. So the Conservative government didn't give a lot of money to the local councils, to the north and this and that. They don't give a lot of money to the police. They've cut the numbers and all this. So like if you underfund and undercut and all this, then when big shit comes up like this and it's going to take time and resources and they've got loads of other shit to deal with as well, and they're like, look, it's only been reported as a missing persons, so we can't investigate it as a crime. Thank fucking God, because it would cost us loads of money. Like, I get it, it's not their fault, but they do a good job, yeah, and they're not given enough money to do their job, I think, in the main. So I hope that this can resolve itself in some other way. I hope it can become criminal in some way with them finding some evidence of something, and then we could find Nicola, and hopefully she might still be alive. It's possible. My spirit guide's telling me no, though. The police are doing what they call let him run, give himself away. Hopefully, maybe, and maybe I'm harming it by pointing out his bad look. Let's see him continue.
Be as strong as I can, so that they don't see the level of like worry on my face.
We don't see the level of worry on your face, mate. And level of worry is fair enough, I suppose, if your beloved is missing. Anxiety, worry, absolutely. It's also the same emotion you would feel if you had some part in it. So,
reassure them as much as I can with, you know, with what.
Ooh. I mean, I guess this is a bit of a sad one, because I think this is like implying that he has no real relationship with his children, or maybe they're not old enough to understand and that it doesn't matter. But there's a half sneer, isn't it? Look, he's got one lip like Elvis. The half sneer. A sneer. That's a sneer. And like a sneer doesn't sound good, does it? I'm going to just quickly look it up to confirm on body language on the internet. But disgusted and angry facial expression characterised by the corner of the lip rising upwards, typically caused by anger, irritation, or if a person is under threat. Well, you're not really directly under threat here in this interview. You're talking about your children and trying to make their feelings better, and it's turned a sneer out of you.
You know, with what we know, which isn't.
Oh, what we know. What we know. Okay, wait. This is really troubling for me, and it fits a number of different things. Okay, so
all I can do is be as strong as I can, so that they don't see the level of like worry on my face.
You couldn't really see that because it's not a wide enough shot, but he's doing this with his hands as well. The level of worry. When he said the level of worry, he's doing that with his hands.
You know,
there's
I
quite a
can't
lot
do
in
that.
this. Watch for this.
So all I can do is be as strong as I can, so that they don't see the level of like worry on my face.
And he's pointing at himself like that.
Reassure them as much as I can with, you know, with what we know, which isn't much.
The big awkward sigh and a pause out with what we know. The sneer comes with what we know as well, and there's a really widening of the eyes, a real widening. You know, he's got quite narrow eyes while he's talking about this. There's the sneer, a sneer of disgust, talking about what we know. Sneer of disgust, actually looking down the barrel of the camera when he's doing it. Quite troubling, that. Quite troubling in general. And that's the look of fear. That's anxiety, fear, with what we know. You're saying out loud about what you know, and you're pulling a sneer. The body's just kicked into gear here. Oh, wait, mate. This is real danger stuff. Real danger stuff. Big stare. Big strange stare. Just, you know, micro expressions, but quite important. Don't like it.
What we know, which isn't much.
Oh, it isn't much. Isn't much. Thanks. Oh, okay, we got through that then. I'm glad you managed to pull that back from the brink. You were going to talk about what we know there for a minute, but now it turns out not much.
And then try and distract them. You know, so that they're
try and distract them.
So that their mind. So that it's not focused on it.
So their mind's not focused on it. That's what you're going to do with your kids, not the media, of course. The media, when they're asking about what you actually know, you're not going to try and distract them.
Mind's not focused on it. I find that's the best way of doing it.
Doing what?
They need hope.
Yeah.
And you've got to hold on to that as tightly as you can every time.
What's the dog doing here? Why is the dog on the sofa with Dan? Why isn't the dog on the sofa with the man that lives in the house with the dog? Isn't that a bit sus?
Time they ask you where Mummy is, how do
Dog's got the damn harness on at this point as well, which I find incredible. You can't really see it in the way I've cut off the picture, but trust me, the dog's wearing the harness, which is a part of the case. So it's indoors. It doesn't need to be on the harness. But can you put the harness on for us? Thank you. And then look, when he says mummy, this dog just starts staring at this man, and it won't stop staring at him. Now, some people take some, you know, body language from the dog, whatever. I can't. My spirit guide is telling me the dog knows
where Mummy is. How does anybody even convey that to when you're going through it as well?
Again, it's just an impossible situation. The only thing that I can do is tell them that everybody is looking for Mummy. The best people, like, in the world are looking for Mummy.
There's a dry mouth there. A dry mouth.
Just to give them that
Don't know what that is. Zero emotion, creepy in the chat here from Dark City Phil. Yeah, I think this is a man trying to control his poker face. I think he does have some emotions, and the problem is that why he sings like problems, is that in these situations it's okay to have those emotions. You would be like almost breaking down. You'd be pleading. Like, I'd be on this camera. I wouldn't be talking to Dan all the time. I'd be talking into the camera. If you at home know anything, if you saw her, can you do anything? Like, all these sort of thoughts would be going on. And instead, it's a lot more calm and a lot more pulled in and a lot more carefully delivered, isn't it? And that's kind of a worry in a way. He has 4 businesses, and that leads into an area you want to share. Yeah, you can share whatever you want. Hello, Chip It. Thanks for subscribing. I'm looking to increase that number. That's quite an important thing on the old YouTube, isn't it? Thanks, I appreciate it. I missed one of your earlier chats there though. He can't do that, but he can go on Sunbed. But yeah, all good in the hood. I'm trying to keep up with chat as well as I'm trying to like do the old analysis. I don't know what this is. This is troubling anyway. Like troubling in the way that I don't know why it is and where it comes from. And as a body language analysis, I feel like I should be able to say, oh, that matches with someone who's in distress. That matches with someone who's anxious about trying to find someone. That matches with this. Instead, I'm seeing things that I'm like, where does that come from? Why is he doing this?
Just to give them that, that level of hope that.
It's almost okay. So that to me, and I'm just making a guess here. This is spirit guide stuff again. That you can't get me thrown off YouTube because it's my spirit guide. But it's almost as if he's holding something in his hand there, and that thing that he's holding is about that big, that sort of way you would hold it, and it's almost as if it's a book. I'm looking to see if I've got a book in the room. People don't often have books around these days. Imagine the stuff that's on your phone on bits of paper all piled up. It's a bit like that. So it's almost like he's holding a book, and that's the sort of thing you would tell to children at bedtime, like a story. Hello Tom, I'm in danger of overanalyzing. Yes, you're right, I should let it run a bit more because there's lots to get through. You're right, and I am like this. I'm called the super chuffer because I talk and talk and talk. So.
Just to give them that, that level of hope that they can understand that everything that can be done to find Mummy is being done.
I think for the vast majority of people watching on.
Yeah, I don't actually have a spirit guide, Pincho. It's just that if I went on the internet and said, I think this guy killed his wife, they'd probably have me for that, wouldn't they? Oh, you can't have that. You can't say you think he killed his wife. You can't say that because it's slander and libel and stuff like that. So I wouldn't say that. But if I had a spirit guide, it might say things, and then that wouldn't be me. It'd be some nutter with a spirit guide. So that'd be fine. They let that go on YouTube. They let that sort of stuff go on.
Nicky is a face on a poker.
Although I suppose if I explain it like that, it kind of ruins the illusion, doesn't it? And so YouTube will still get me. I don't know.
At the moment,
Dog's off the sofa now.
Her. What's she like?
She is.
There's a smile here. Is it a smile because he's remembering the woman he loves, or is it a smile because he is prepared for this, and he knows that in this case you have to say she is. One of the things that he's learned and that people learn is that when you talk about them if they're in the present tense. Don't talk, she was this, she was that. She was such a lovely lady. I used to love it when she, oh no, I've dropped myself in it. So here's a smile because, smile, I've got this one. It's like knowing the answer to the question before they ask it. I've got this one, I'm on the exam and I'm writing the correct answer. Well done me, I'm a clever chuffer, is what he's thinking.
Fun. She is loving. She is, if you're friends with her, she's the most loyal friend.
Bit of a shake of the head there, and if you're friends with her, she's the most loyal friend, implying that if you're not, she's not. So we're questioning her loyalty in some way here. So again, I'm digging in deep, I pause it all the time, but her sister, do you know what, Pincho? Her sister did laugh out loud. I will be or my spirit guide, might be making the case that he might have gone and, he thinks in some way, he's been caught cheating with the sister, and they've had to deal with her instead. Like he said that he and the sister were both good people earlier. He made a point to make that. He and her sister are both good people. Did that with his hand, remember? So he's already started to bring that up himself.
That you could ever have. With Nicky, what you see is what you get. There's no hidden, nothing's hidden,
Nothing's hidden.
It's all, that's her.
It's all... So he does this with his hands, and he says nothing's hidden. So I worry again, because I was saying earlier about these patting things down. Now I'm talking about something that's hidden. Obviously, he's telling us it's not hidden, but, you know, a straightforward thing to lie about is just saying, no, it's not that. And why would you say, what tell me about Nikki? Well, there's all sorts of hidden things that you don't know. That's not something anyone's ever going to say, is it? Like, tell me something about her. There's nothing hidden. No, there's nothing. I didn't put it in the cupboard. Should I look in the cupboard then, should I? No, it's not in the cupboard. You know, I don't know where your favourite chocolate bar is. I definitely didn't put it in the cupboard. Oh, whoops. You know, it's a bit like that, isn't it? There's nothing hidden. So that I find a bit of a worry. You know, it might be, again, my spirit guide might be wrong here, and it might be that somebody else has been having an affair and someone's caught. So I'm personally I'm starting to come to the feeling from my spirit guide that my feeling is that she didn't leave the house. But
That's her, and she is an exceptional mum, and she absolutely, you know, adores our girls. It goes above and beyond.
There's a rubbing of the leg here, and the dog's walking around, and again it draws attention. This leg rubbing is self-soothing. It's to make himself feel better about stuff. So it goes both ways. That, you know, ticks both boxes, innocent and suspicious.
I was saying to Emma the other day, I don't think that she's been away from them like for more than like 1 or 2 nights. You know, since you know we've had, you know, our eldest, and yeah. she's a pillar of strength, you know, to our family, and without her, you know.
I'm not happy without her sort of semi-sneer again. Pillar of strength, I think I could dig into a bit, but so as to not get too stuck up on one bit too much.
To our family, and without her,
there's a sort of half sneer, half contempty sort of look. Like, fuck her, maybe.
You know, the hole is, you know, bigger than you could possibly imagine.
And all that emotion that started to come through, and I paused it on a smile again somehow. But all that emotion that came through with the slight eyebrow movement and the more natural emotion talking about who she was and what she was like, has gone again at the end there when he's talking about this. Psychology isn't what it's cracked up to be. It's questionable science. True, Candy Piker. No, I don't know. Could it all be an elaborate insurance indemnity or property scam, which is also involved in waiting alive and well outside the UK somewhere? Is that possible? Is it possible? Yes, like definitely possible. My feeling on that would be that they would do it with the man, like instinctively, that a woman would be less likely to want to leave her children in control of some other people. Like he just said, she's not been away from the children since they were born, and nor would you, because you're their mother. You know, it's like a maternal instinct thing. Is that a bruise on his right eye? I did think that big hat that he wore seemed silly and weird. And then it turned out he's got a mark around this part of his face. We'll have to watch a couple of weeks later. If it's gone, then maybe it was a bruise. Or maybe he's always got a mark on his face there. I don't know. But it certainly looks a bit sus, doesn't it? Yeah, definitely.
So after the break, we'll hear more.
After the break, we hear more. So we obviously go to the break. And what I wanted to make a point of here is I've not got monetized adverts on this channel right now. And they've got monetized adverts on their channel, on their program. And there were some loads of banging adverts on there. Like loads of them. And they were like, fucking, how about your holidays? How about this? And I was like, wow, that's kind of inappropriate during this program. But you know.
2 weeks ago. Now
And we're back. I accidentally started this one by looking at the wrong window, but I got it on record.
Can I ask you to take us back to 2 weeks today?
2 weeks
that
today.
Morning of Friday,
back to the morning. I wish I'd had that frame. I'm an idiot.
Was it
for
a
not getting
normal
it.
morning like any other?
Yeah, totally normal.
Totally normal, he says.
So the only difference that morning was,
get on it.
You know, usually, you know, you've got children getting up on a school day.
So important here. I know I was fucking about with the image and I fucked it up, but normally is what he says. Like, when you're describing the actual day, you want to describe the actual day, not normally this or normally that. Like, normally is what you're doing. Like, okay, let's make a story about what's going to happen. Like, I'm thinking as well, this could have been planned in advance. I do think, okay, the one thing with Tom, I would say, is that I think it might have been planned in advance as well. Like, there's these, you got to have these different stories going on in your brain at the same time, different plates you're spinning, isn't it? So if it were to be planned in advance, you would consider her normal routine, wouldn't you? That would be part of the plan. And then like you'd go from there. So when people are saying what happened, you'd say, oh, what normally happens on a day is X, Y, Z, and that's what happened, wouldn't you? Like, what normally happens. Thank you very much. Why did you say normally? Well, because it's not. Ooh, do you know what I mean? Like, I don't want to know. I don't want that. I want, just tell me, what happened. Do you know what I mean? Not what normally happens, but what happened. But yeah.
Can I ask you to take us back to 2 weeks today, that morning of Friday, the 27th of January?
Yeah.
Was it a normal morning like any other?
Yeah, totally normal.
I suppose that man says the word normal first, so he gets to repeat it back.
So the only difference that morning was, usually, when you've got children, getting up on a school day, you probably know yourself.
With some biting of the lips, like some sucking of the lips, something he didn't want to say, some contrition, and this hand waving towards himself comes in, and here's the sneer again. Look, here's the sneer. I don't think he, like, with the kids, I don't think he's into that. Like the washing them, the nappies, the fucking about. Like, I just don't think he's into it. I think it annoys him.
Children getting up on a school day, you probably know yourself, is just mayhem, isn't it?
Carnage, yeah.
Yeah.
Mayhem. See, carnage, and this guy laughs and smiles at him, which I think is fucking weird, because you're doing an interview with someone who's apparently lost their wife, could maybe never come back, his significant other, and so you're having a laugh with him. Carnage, isn't it? Carnage, like when you murder your significant other, carnage. Like, what a choice of words. But this guy's like mayhem, like I hate it, and this guy's like carnage, like it's fun and games. So there's a difference in body language there, you can see. But okay, this guy's going to be smiling because his life is going well, and this guy's not because it's not. But
yeah, absolute carnage. So the only difference.
But then when we cut, we don't get the end of what he was saying. It's almost like he laughed at that carnage thing, and they cut that off because they don't want that. Cut from that, we got him laughing at carnage. We're going to have to go from somewhere else. Like, it doesn't quite tie up.
Children getting up on a school day, you probably know yourself, is just...
rubbing the legs a lot. Yeah, he's doing it a lot. I think there's a number of reasons. One, his hands are sweating because he is under pressure. Maybe it's a bad sign. Maybe it's a bad sign. So he's rubbing his hands naturally to, relieve that. It's also self-soothing, and it's like making yourself feel better, but under the table, so to speak. So you would assume that people aren't really, like, even though it's subconscious, like a kind of subconscious body language, you might subconsciously, like, self-soothe by rubbing your beard or, stroking your hair or pulling your hair or something like this, or and if you did, then it would be in the eye line. You're doing the interview, so your hands are down. You don't want them to be expressive and saying things, and so they're just subconsciously rubbing your leg now because you can't stop it. It's self-soothing, sweaty hands. Not necessarily a good sign. But then also you're under pressure. The innocent side of this would be you're nervous, you're on camera, you don't want people to think you've murdered your significant other, and you're under pressure, and he's doing some self-soothing.
Mayhem, isn't it?
Carnage, yeah.
Yeah, absolute carnage. So the only difference on...
And then there's a cut there, so we get now we get a difference. The only difference, and so this wasn't a normal morning, even though he's sneering at the end of that. It wasn't a normal morning. There's a difference. And I think he does this thing again where you could have just left it at that. It was like a normal morning. It was a normal morning, the end. But now you're going to start telling me about differences and picking up on different things. It might be because he thinks that's what we need to hear, is any little piece of information to try and help find her. Maybe that. Or it might be that he's letting his mouth run away with him a little bit here.
Children getting up on a school day, you probably know yourself, is just mayhem, isn't it?
Carnage, yeah.
Yeah, absolute carnage. So the only difference on that morning 2 weeks ago was that there wasn't a lot of rushing. I came down and a lot of stuff was already done. It was, the girls were having a breakfast and everything was pretty much ready to go. I came down, Nikki went upstairs to get ready.
I'm going to pause that there because I actually kind of believe that. I think on this particular day, that was a bit different. He shook his head when he was describing it a little bit, because I don't think he understood why or how or what. But I think this is a massive sign. I think either it's red flag, because if she has done that, it might be a signal. He might have seen this as like a signal of suicide. People like to get things in order before, you know, they do things like that. But I actually find I've got this instinctive feeling. You're led to believe the police regards the evidence cleared of involvement. He shouldn't have done it. The police don't. I'm not sure about that, Palumbo, because I think it depends what the evidence is, and I'm a bit worried that the evidence is he logged onto a computer or was like pictured on this CCTV, and that it could be that like, or this, like the dog walking woman sees this woman at this time, therefore, and the dog walking woman could be wrong, or I'm a bit like, it needs to be some solid evidence. I need to see it, otherwise I'm going to have these thoughts about this, and even wait till I tell the story about what I think might have happened as well, because it might not be the evidence, like he might be innocent of going down to the river and pushing her in or anything like that. He might be innocent. He might have actually been at home, and it might be that she didn't leave, and he, you know, something happened at home as well. Her sister could pass as her. That's what I was thinking as well. Yeah, you take the dog down to the river, put her coat on, you know, and just some woman sees you that's walking their dog, and your dogs run around together. Doesn't mean you're having a bovril together, does it? It's just like, you're right, how's it going? Like, you know, fuck, that woman saw me. And then she comes forward and says, oh, I saw Nicola. And you think, fucking thank God. Like, do you know what I mean? Like, it's a black guy. It's been getting better since the Over the Hat interview. Yeah, like the Hat interview was like a fucking weird thing to do. Hi, Kiara. When someone wears a weird item of clothing like that, do you remember when you were a kid and you got a love bite? I don't know, you might not have done, but I did. I went to the YMCA on a fencing trip, on a sports trip, and we stayed there, and there was all these German girls, and this one girl she had a moustache. She gave me a love bite, and she also gave me a bandana to cover it over with. So that was nice. I wore that bandana because I was embarrassed, and then everyone was like, "Why are you wearing that weird bandana?" And then it turned out I was covering something up. So that's what people will do. If you've got something you're worried about and you want to cover up, you might be inclined to wear some item of clothing that seems a bit, you know, like a big woolly hat with sunglasses. Exactly. I do worry about that. He said her sister's innocent, they tried to be good. Exactly. He specifically said out loud, didn't he, School Sniper? He made the point, he brought her into it where she didn't need to be brought into it in any way. Yeah. Let's see about, I've forgotten what my point was now, but...
Girls were having a breakfast and everything was pretty much ready to go.
Oh yeah, girls were having their breakfast and everything was ready to go. So when I was a kid once, right, my dad had an affair on my mum, and she found out about it. This is like my family's personal business, I'll have you know. But like, you know, it's no big, you know, they had a divorce in the end or whatever. But there was one time, I remember, where I think she was sus about something. You know, imagine like your parent is sus about something. She was driving fast to get there quickly or something like that, you know. Like these days, it'd be the equivalent of checking each other's phones, and like there'd be an atmosphere, and do you know what I mean? I think this, if it's true that she's prepared all the breakfasts and got the kids ready to go to school, like everything's all, why isn't it mayhem this morning? Because she's got a plan in action, and that's get those kids to school, get that dog walk, and get right back, or like we're having a row. Like imagine this. Okay, here's a different setup. I'm offering conjecture of different setups until we maybe decide what we think is more and more authentically the right thing. He's describing the morning as if it was very pre-planned. Exactly. Maybe I'm saying he's surprised by that. If it's real that it was like that, it surprised him. Why was it like that? Why was she doing pre-planning it so much? And I'm thinking, imagine this, right? Like you've caught one of either him or her has caught the other doing something, and we're gonna have a big row about this, or we're gonna have a big row about this, whether it's cheating or it's whatever it is. We're not going to do that big row now, though, because we need the kids to go to school in the morning. Or, like, the kids need... Do you know what I mean? Like, we need to keep this routine for the kids. So, what we're going to do is she's going to get up in the morning. She's not going to... Like, let's say she finds a text on his phone. She's not going to, like, just kick off and go mental. The kids have got to go to school. So, she's going to get up, get everyone ready, get the kids to school in a bit of a piss. In a, like, bad mood, bit of a piss. And he's going to think, what's going on here? Why is everyone... You know, what's going on here? And then the kids are going to be away at school quick, and then she's going to come right back and we're going to have a big row. And like, do you know what I mean? Like that could be the case. Like for some reason, either he's invented the idea that it wasn't like a normal morning, and the only reason that could be is to point towards, like maybe suicide. Because what does it point towards? That she had everything shipshape and ready to go, and was a much more busy, organised morning. What does that point towards? I don't know. But if it's true and it's real, what it points towards is a woman who has some other preoccupation, and she wants to get all the chores done and out of the way. it points to something else, I guess. He knew it was D-Day. Yeah, I think, you know, I'm confused about this. I see it as a strange thing.
I came down, and Nikki went upstairs to get ready.
I came down and she went upstairs to get ready. Is this kind of like distancing they talk about, don't they? Remember body language people on the internet like me, they say about distancing. They say in when you're talking about it, you know, putting some distance between you and the person. In this case, it's a description of what physically happened. Is they were on different floors of the house, but distancing.
And then, you know, the routine is basically if Nikki's taking the girls and Willow, when I hear her come down, I'll get them in the car, get them strapped in, get Willow in the boot and all that. And
which is strange because apparently the CCTV that I've seen, the pictures, it's not the case. He's not the one putting them in the car. It's her that does that. She was the one putting Willow in the boot. That's what I saw on the CCTV. I thought. I might be wrong. I'll just say that.
And Nikki comes out, give her the keys, and off they go.
So on a normal day, that's what happens. He's not saying that's what happened today, on the day it happened. He's saying that's what would happen on a normal day.
Get them strapped in, get them strapped in, On that morning 2 weeks ago was that there wasn't a lot of rushing. I came down and a lot of stuff was already done. It was, you know, the girls were having a breakfast and everything was pretty much ready to go. I came down, Nikki went upstairs to get ready. And then, you know, the routine is basically if Nikki's taking the girls and Willow, when I hear her come down, I'll get them in the car, get them strapped in, get Willow in the boot and all that. And
get them strapped in, get Willow in the boot and all that. And there's a lot of pointing going on with his hands around here. I wish I could see his full body language for this, like the full room of the body language.
Nikki comes out, give her the keys, and off they go.
It's a well-oiled machine normally.
Big huff out, and Nikki comes out, give her the keys, and off they go. That bit was huff, pause, like there was some stress over that. That bit didn't happen. Like that's what would normally happen. To me, that bit didn't happen. That's the lie that he's like said quickly at the end. If my spirit guide is anything to be believed, my little chopper. What are you chopping for? You my little spirit guide. Then that might be a lie. Not definitely, obviously.
Get them strapped in, get Willow in the boot and all that. And Nikki comes out, give her the keys, and off they go.
It's a well-oiled machine normally. And sometimes you walk the dog and take the kids to school, and on that morning it was Nikki's job.
Yeah.
I don't like this again because Dan's saying things and he's just nodding along. And if Dan's going to give you an easy out, you're going to say, yes, Dan, that's exactly what it is like, Dan.
I don't know if it's my job. Usually the roles are reversed. Yeah. So, yeah, again, it was just nothing out of the ordinary. Everything was normal.
During this, there's a lot of this shaking the head and looking down over there at these like visceral thoughts and feelings and stuff. So I think what's happening is he's also in his head going through this situation that's not normal. Like he's telling you everything's normal, but in his head he's thinking, oh, all this other shit happened and it was not fucking normal. But I'm not saying any of that. I'm saying, yeah, it was normal. And it's like, yeah, something's not right here, Dean. I just think that it doesn't ring right to me.
Nothing out of the ordinary. Everything was normal. You know. Because my working hours, because I work for a US firm.
Because and there's this touch of the nose again, this cover of the face.
So my hours are like 6 hours behind UK time. So I don't usually start work till a bit later in the morning. So when Nikki takes the girls to school, I then know that I've got like an hour to myself on that morning when she takes them. So I always quite look forward to that, you know, because I wave them off and then I go in. This
is so weird, what he's talking about here. He's talking about how he's got a window of opportunity to commit the crime. Isn't he? He's describing how he has a window of opportunity to commit the crime. And that hour is something that he likes. That's like his time. Nikki takes the kids off to school and he's got this hour of the day that she's not there, the kids aren't there. I don't like having the kids and her there. It pisses me off. I want my own free space. And I get it when they're gone and like, you know, he's telling us this thing about this moment in time that's quite important. This hour, this space after she disappears and takes the kids to school. This hour
in the house, and I put the kettle on, make a cup of tea, and I think, right, I've got an hour.
Bit of peace. So, at what point are you?
And then we cut him off, and like that's fucking awful. Like the interviewer cuts him off by saying a bit of peace. We don't see his reaction or anything. Is it because something is in this part of the interview that they wanted to cut off? What's going on during this hour? Why are we not saying, like, tell me more about the hour that you've got after they leave, and, you know, that you're quite happy to start talking about and is quite, like, important to you?
So when Nikki takes the girls to school, I then know that I've got like an hour to myself on that morning when she takes them. So I always quite look forward to that, you know, because I wave them off, and then I go in the house and I put the kettle on, make a cup of tea, and I think, right, I've got an hour.
Bit of peace. So at what point are you thinking something's not right here? When did it feel, where's Nikki? At what point did that kick in?
So she's usually back like 9:45 average, 10 o'clock, you know, at a push. So I'd gone up into the office at 10, thinking that she'd be back in a minute.
So what are you doing for that hour then? You just touched on it a second ago. You've got an hour to yourself, and you work from home, and, you know, you've gone up to the office at 10. But at 9, she's left with the kids. Like, what are you doing? Having your cup of tea? Having your cup of tea? Having your little cup of tea?
So I logged on. I was just going through some emails and stuff, you know, setting my day up. And
because at this point, Nikki's already gone, yeah? She's not still walking the dog. She's yet to be discovered that she's missing. But whatever's happened to her has happened to her, or is like, before he's gone and logged on for the day and started typing his emails and whatever, whatever's happened to Nikki has happened in that hour that he has to himself in between. Like, and what would you do, like, an hour while you know your wife isn't there, while your wife is busy away doing the things that your wife does on the normal routine, an hour while she's away? Brilliant from the police. They can't ask him because it's a missing person, not a criminal investigation, but they get the interviewer to ask. It's genius. Kind of, yeah. I hope that is the case. I hope so. And I hope they give the police the full video and not the edits they've got here. I've got a good vibe. Thanks for the sub, Dean. Thanks. Yeah, it's you in chat as well all making it, because, like, you know, we're chatting together, aren't we, in a way? So obviously I'd still do this if I was on my own, because I'm a sad chuffer as well as a super chuffer.
It got to say 10:15, and that's when I thought, you know, she's later than usual, but I still wasn't, like, particularly worried, because she has come back at 10:15.
She has come back at 10:15, which is a kind of strange way of saying things, isn't it? Like, another way of saying it is like, you know, she comes back whenever she feels like it, but, like, he's got these times logged, so I don't know about that.
Particularly would, because she has come back at 10:15 sometimes. Like, she might just get talking to Emma.
Yeah. What's this handout now to Emma? Who's Emma? Is Emma in the room possibly? He's looking out, and, like, this is almost like bargaining. This might have happened, that might have happened, she might have done this, could have done that.
Or
Find
another
a friend
mum.
on a dog walk, yeah.
Yeah, or anybody. So,
and then we turn it into a top-down hand motion again. It goes from open body language with talking about Emma, and, like, arms out and open and bargaining, and it shuts down at the end. It's a bit of a strange one.
You know, it's not often, but she has got back at about 10:15, 20 past.
Like, I guess I would expect her to get back whenever the fuck and not really give a shit. Like, if my wife was out taking the kids to school and talking to people on the school run, like you say, like, she wouldn't be on the clock. She'd just get back at, like, you know, 10, half 10, something like that. Maybe sometimes even 11. Maybe sometimes she goes out to lunch. I have to call her. Like, where are you, chuffer? Like, I'm expecting my lunch. No, obviously I'd just make my own lunch, wouldn't I? But you know what I mean? Like, you don't have to keep tracks on your wife, is what I'm saying. Like, you don't have to have this, like, itemised time thing. So it's pros and cons in the way he's delivering this. Like, I'm not happy with everything, but it's not awfully self-incriminating yet.
10.
Some of it has been, though, hasn't it?
And I wasn't, like, massively concerned or anything. Then it got to 10:30, and that's when I thought, you know, she's, you know, quite late now, more late than usual. So I tried ringing her phone, and there was no answer. I tried ringing her on WhatsApp, and again there was no answer.
There's a little pause, like, I tried ringing her on WhatsApp, and again there was no answer. And this is where I feel like he's got this together as his, like, story. Like, this is my story now coming in. Like, I tried ringing her phone. I also tried ringing her on WhatsApp. I did this and this, and it's like, do you do that? Like, do you ring someone's phone and then ring their WhatsApp? Like, that seems a bit strange to me, a bit contrived, but there we go.
You know, quite late now, more late than usual. So I tried ringing her phone, and there was no answer. I tried ringing her on WhatsApp, and again there was no answer. I tried the mobile again, and no answer. So I couldn't get her. I started to get a bit panicky, I think.
He was going to say a bit paranoid, but instead he said panicky. Also, when you talk about this mark around his eye, I'll just pause it there. I don't know if you can see, you might, YouTube and all that. It does look like he's got a bit of marks around his neck as well, a little bit. I don't know, I can't really see it very well. Another concern I have is that instead of her catching him at home in that, I was going to say spirit guide saying, like, he's got this hour to himself and maybe she's come home and caught him doing something. Maybe it's possible that he's caught her doing something. She hasn't answered the phone. Why isn't she answering her phone? I'm going to go down the dog walk and see where she is and what she's up to, and if I don't like what I see, then...
So that's when I thought, right, I'm going to have to go down there and see if she's all right, see if...
Because that's what is a problem to me. I'm going to have to go down there. Like, that sounds like the language of someone who might, like, I'm going to need to go down there and sort this shit out. Like, I'm going to go down there.
Panicky, I think. So that's when I thought, right, I'm going to have to go down there and see if she's all right, see if I can see the car.
And this is that anger again. The expression is anger, confusion, shaking his head.
Well, see what's going on. But I still expected that I'd just get there and just, oh, there she is,
And what? There she is, and what? I find it a bit strange. Like, again, we're saying she's talking at the school gates with the school mums and all that, and like, here comes Dad arriving down. Like, what are you doing down here? Well, I'm start talking. All right, fine. Going home then. Why didn't you answer your phone? Why did you drive all the way down here? I was worried about you. It's only 10:30. It just seems all a bit of a strange to me. I'm not going to go too deep into that, I guess. He's finding it aggravating.
Well, see what's going on, but I still expected that I'd just get there.
There was a half smile, wasn't there?
There she is, Well, see what's going on, but I still expected that I'd just get there and just, oh, there she is, So I go to the gym on a Friday.
I go to the gym on a Friday
lunchtime. So I quickly got my gym stuff on.
I go to the gym on a Friday lunchtime, so I quickly got my gym stuff on. I tell you what, I don't like that, because it sounds like, what would you do on a Friday if you hadn't murdered your wife? Well, I'd be going to the gym. Right, quickly put your gym stuff on. Like, do you know what I mean? It sounds more like that than, my wife isn't home yet, and I want to go to the gym, so I'll just put my gym stuff on in any normal way.
I go to the gym on a Friday lunch.
There's all sorts of ways that things could have happened to his eye, yeah. Like, we don't know. He was on camera at his house working. Like, on camera at his house, like, as in there's a camera on him in his house. I'd like to see that, I'd like to know about that and see that and understand whether that can be, tampered with in any way, or whether he has to be the person that's done the crime necessarily to be involved in it, because there's also the sister that we're worried about, isn't there? So maybe he just knows everything and isn't saying it.
So I quickly got my gym stuff on, because I just thought, basically, I'm going to go out, find her, come home, do a bit of work.
Carry on, yeah.
Yeah, lunchtime.
So he quickly got his gym stuff on because he thought he was going to go out, find her and come home. So why do you need your gym stuff on? Like, it's starting to fall apart here, but Dan's helping by going, yeah, that's right. That didn't hold together right. He should have said find her and then go on to the gym.
Do a bit of work.
Carry on, yeah.
Yeah, lunchtime, go to the gym. Do a bit of work. I go to the gym on a Friday lunchtime. So I quickly got my gym stuff on, because I just thought, basically, I'm going to go out, find her, come home, do a bit of work.
Carry on, yeah.
Yeah, lunchtime, go to the gym.
So why did you have your gym stuff on if you thought you were going to find her, come home, do some work? There's no reason to quickly put your gym stuff on. That seems weird, and it seems a bit confused. It's annoying me now, that one, the gym stuff. How far into this did we get?
Get them strapped in, get Willow in the boot.
Something's not right here. When did it feel?
I tried ringing her on WhatsApp. Oh, see what's going on. It was the school.
Okay, here we go, the school, yeah.
Go to the gym on a Friday lunchtime. So I quickly got my gym stuff on, because I just thought, basically, I'm going to go out, find her, come home, do a bit of work.
It's like he's justifying why he's wearing that gym stuff. It's almost like you've done something and you have to quickly get changed into something else and your gym stuff's there, so you put on your gym stuff. And then what happens to those clothes that you changed out of? Why have you changed out of your normal daytime clothes in the middle of the day? Oh, I was going to the gym later after I'd been out and come home and done some work, so I changed into my gym clothes. Like you're saying about a gym... did he go to the gym after he knew his wife was missing? I don't think he did. In the end, he didn't get a chance to go to the gym. But he definitely changed his clothes from the ones he was wearing earlier that day. So that's actually happened, which is real red flag stuff, isn't it? Like, you know, if anyone at the scene of the crime has recently changed their clothes... Why did you recently change your clothes after your wife went missing? Oh, I had to go to the gym. Okay, where are the old clothes? It's a missing persons investigation. You don't get to see.
Carry on. Yeah.
Yeah, lunchtime, go to the gym. I was going to leave, and then the phone rang, and it was the school, and it was the receptionist at school, and she said, "Mr. Ansell, it's a bit of a weird one."
He's distracted by the dog here.
Hello. So it's a bit of a weird one, but we've found Willow.
And it's because he's thinking about the dog, because he's talking about the story, and this is the point of the story where the dog comes into it. So now he's distracted by and looking at the dog.
And Nicky's phone on the bench, and the harness halfway down the embankment on the floor. So, because
you're already worried at this point.
At that point, he'd scratched his face. Again, it was more face covering. He's got the dog over. The dog looks anxious. Doesn't look like it's settling down with him there. And the description is the phone was on the bench and the dog harness was halfway down the embankment. It has been established by the people and the divers that if you were to go down that embankment, then you would be on hard stone. It would be difficult to drown. You could drown, but it'd be unlikely that you'd float off down the river. And it seems strange that does for the lead to be halfway down the embankment. My theory on it now is that they did that as like a setup. Whoever's done Nicola has said, take a phone out there and put the lead down by the river. People will think she's fallen in. And then when people said she's not fallen in, you know, they've gone like, yeah, God, I wonder who put that lead there. That seems strange. Like,
yeah, because I'm just about to leave. So I've got my gym stuff on. I'm about to leave thinking I'm going to see her, you know, pass her, get there and find her. Then I get that call, and in an instant, it's like your whole...
Of course.
Because I knew straight away that it wasn't normal, you know what I mean? Like, because I said, well, where is she? And like, well, they can't find her. So I also know that she would never in a million years leave Willow. Like, Willow is like our third child. So I know, like, she'd never... Like, the fact that Willow's just in the field on her own, off the lead, obviously... extremely concerning.
Extremely concerning. Big gulp and a dry throat for that one. And I also wonder if he's a bit worried because he might have thought he got more time, or there may, if you were guilty, you would think that it's a surprise that the alarm has been raised so quickly by the school, who are so conscientious to be able to ring you immediately and drag you straight back into this, because you were off on your way out somewhere else, weren't you?
So... obviously, I'm just in a mad panic then, you know, because I got hit by that weird... It's like your world just drops out.
It's like your world just drops out. Like when you discover something on someone's phone, discover them cheating, walk in on them cheating, stuff like that, that sort of feeling. Like, except this time it's your partner's missing. Your world does just drop out. I agree with that. I wonder if this is what he said in the first interview, because he definitely didn't say that in the first interview. He said it's like a dream. So again, I wonder if this is this... I know what I should say, so I'm going to say it, or if this is some kind of other feeling of your world dropping out for some reason that you are now able to talk about, but you're not going to say the exact overt reason.
Because you know something's weird has happened.
Because you know something's weird has happened. That's the reason you got that bad feeling, is because you know something weird has happened, and maybe you can't tell us what it is.
Panic then, you know, because I got hit by that weird... It's like your world just drops out because you know something's weird has happened. So I got in the car, drove down there, ran down the river to where the bench is. Somebody had Willow, and obviously there was a few other dog walkers there and stuff like that. Handed me Willow, handed me Nicky's phone.
was a flashpoint there. Handed me Nicky's phone, and there was a momentary
Where the
face.
benches. Somebody had Willow, and obviously there was a few other dog walkers there and stuff like that. Handed me Willow, handed me Nicky's phone.
There was like a signal of alarm.
Still expected, obviously, to just have a
But
look around.
this all comes out much better because like he's just telling the truth of what actually happened here. He ran down there, and there were people there, and like you see how it just reels off the tongue. There were no pauses and thoughts about if I'm saying if I'm saying the right thing or not. It was just I'm saying the right thing. I went down there. There was Willow. I got the Willow.
Well, there she is, or there she is. So, we're all looking. I'm still expected, obviously, to just have a because something's weird.
I'm going to try and
happened.
pause this at the right time here.
So I got in the car, drove down there, ran down the river to where the bench is. Somebody had Willow, and obviously there was a few other dog walkers there and stuff like that. Handed me Willow, handed me Nicky's phone.
Oh, I just missed it. He just does a little signal of alarm, like he just does a little.
Ran down the river to where the bench is. Somebody
You
had
just have to
Willow,
look for it.
and obviously there was a few other dog walkers there and stuff like
And
that.
they hand the phone.
Handed me Willow, handed me Nicky's phone.
Yeah.
Still expected, obviously,
Yeah,
to just have a.
we're not watching this on YouTube. I recorded it and it's on Media Player. Has it got that? Yes, it does have that setting. You're right. Okay, wonderful. Good call. Good call. Ship it. So I go to 0.25 and then.
Still expected, obviously, to just have a look around, and there she is, or there she is. Still expected, obviously, where the bench is. Somebody had Willow, and obviously there was a few other dog walkers there and stuff like that. Handed me Willow, handed me his.
Okay, the problem is that I can't move it back by any more than 10 seconds. I don't want 10 seconds of really slow, but it just happened then. Bollocks.
Expected, obviously, to just have a look around, and
But we got it.
to where the bench is. Somebody had Willow, and obviously there was a few other dog walkers there and stuff like that. Handed me Willow, handed me Nicky's phone.
Like, it was this like look of like, I think there's two things about it. One is like a look of surprise or concern or shock, like with the phone. But also, I think the person that handed him the phone, I think he feels some sort of content. Like, what the fuck were you doing, giving me the phone? Like, you handed me the phone. Like, it was like a stupid thing for them to have done. It was a really weird look anyway, and it was there. Like, body language expert over here.
Still expected, obviously, to just have a look around, and
Hello, Sam Jones. I don't know if I've been catching all your chats. Chris Watts, yeah. He was a lot like Chris Watts, wasn't he? He was a lot like Chris Watts. There was another person who made a really good video like that, so I did want to reference them. I'll bring it up maybe later. Yeah.
there she is, or there she is. So where the bench is.
I'll give him a bit of chance to talk about this thing, and then I'll try and break it down a little bit.
Panic then, because it's. I got hit by that weird. It's like your world just drops out because something's weird has happened. So I got in the car, drove down there, ran down the river to where the bench is. Somebody had Willow, and obviously there was a few other dog walkers there and stuff like that. Handed me Willow, handed me Nicky's phone. Still expected, obviously, to just have a look around, and there she is, or there she is. So, we're all looking. I'm like walking off into the field that way, like looking around the corners.
He's doing what? He's walking off into the field that way. He's looking into the corners. So he's directing us there away from the river. He's not saying, I think she's in the river. They've discovered the collar and lead by the river and the phone on the bench, and he's gone off walking into the corners. Why is that? Is that sus? Saying about Valium in chat, yeah, I think he does look like he might be on some sort of sedative, maybe. That is possible. I also think he's trying to keep a really straight face and not give anything away.
Looking over the hedge, looking over the
stile. I do think that. He does look like he's a bit drugged, doesn't he? Yeah.
And, nothing. But I'm like walking off into the field that way, like looking around the corners, looking over the hedge, looking over the stile, and, nothing. But I'd rung 999 on the way because I obviously knew something was wrong. So the police rang me then.
Okay, look, I rang 999 on the way because I obviously knew something was wrong. Why did you obviously know something was wrong? You might have said, because I felt like there was something wrong. But he obviously knew there was something wrong. Like, I suppose because they found a phone and the lead. That's enough for it to be wrong, I suppose. You could say that.
And while I was at the bench, I said, look, you've got to get home because the police are going to be coming to your house. We need somebody at your house. You get home, the police are on the way there. So I'd rung the police at like, I think about 10 to 11, and they were there. Like, they got there at 25 past. So they were there, you know, really, really quick.
Really quick, got that look of surprise again as well, which I think it was a surprise to him how quick they were there, and therefore he's had, or whoever has done something with Nicola has had very limited amount of time to do whatever it is they've done with her in that. You know, it's all happened in that hour, isn't it? That hour that he's got between 9 and 10 when he's got that hour to himself.
By then, you know, I'd gone home then, taken Willow back. Police officer would come to the house, and
he doesn't really know what he wants to say about this.
You know, although I was like obviously extremely worried and concerned, I still expected at any second she'd just go, "Oh, we found her. You know, we've found her here," or whatever.
Interesting. The idea is that he's expecting someone in that early stage to say, "Oh, we found her," and he does this with his hand, like raises it up. I think he's trying to show like a phone in his hand, but you know, like the idea that someone might ring and say, "We found her," but he raises his hand up. We found her. Not we found her alive, or she's safe and well, or she's back. She's come back. She's turned up. But we found her. Like you might find someone who, you know, has been done in.
You know, we've found her here, or whatever.
We found her here, or whatever. You found her where now? Where did you find her now?
And, you know, although I was like obviously extremely worried and concerned, I still expected at any second she'd just go, "Oh, we found her. You know, we've found her here," or whatever. And that, yeah, I mean, that never happened. Like, that was just the day then just, you know, just spiraled, and end of the day came, and no answers. Here we are, you know, 2 weeks later.
And they cut that off as well. He does a sort of, I don't know, sort of thing at the end, but they cut that off. So it doesn't look good, that doesn't. And I don't like when he said, "We found her here," you know. No, and like, that was a bit of a dodgy one as well. They take us through all the details. Obviously, I'm not going to let all that play, all their TV show. I do like this guy. He's usually quite good on the internet. He's done a Sean Atwood talking about Jimmy Savile, but at the end, like, he basically says that Paul's not guilty. So I find that a bit strange, unless he's going to tell us why he would think that and how he would know that, and what there is to know, and what that says. Like, because if he's not, we could look at this analysis in a slightly different light and say, what does it tell us about what he knows? Do you know what I mean? There is that. So we'll move on to the next part of the episode. There's more. Their cool music. Let's get into it. Paulie Paul.
We've always tried to keep all options open because we don't want to shut down any avenue. You know, we've always been very careful that we don't want to say, "Oh, we think it's that," and then push that when it might not be.
We don't want to say it's that and then push it and it might not be. Who is this we, and what is it that we're pushing? Definitely we're not pushing it anyway. It's a bit of a strange one, and of course we're careful about how we form our story in public, and what we tell people we think it is fair enough, I suppose.
The most obvious thing, of course, has always been the river. It's always been my gut instinct and her sister's.
No, it hasn't. No, and there's two things there. And her sisters. He brought the sister into it again. But your gut instinct was to go checking over the hedges and stuff like that, wasn't it? Why is it now the river?
The most obvious thing, of course, has always been the river. It's always been my gut instinct and her sisters and
her sisters
and family that that isn't the case.
Oh, it's been your gut instinct and your sisters that isn't the case. Okay, you stuttered over that.
And then push that when it might not be. The most obvious thing, of course, has always been the river. It's always been my gut instinct and her sisters and family that that isn't the case. Extensive.
Why are we not looking at his
searching,
face?
You know, he's probably well aware of has gone on in that river. I mean, they were in there. You know, I mean, I have to categorically say I cannot fault the police in any of this. They have been incredible, and the relationship that we have working on this is very, very strong. It's very good.
He gives that a shake of the head after he says it, which would lead me to imply that it doesn't exactly line up, you know, body language wise. And
the relationship that we have working on this is very, very strong. It's very good. So that this isn't any criticism of them at all. I want to make that clear. But the fact that they were in the divers and underwater rescue team and all that were in that river on the day, and thankfully found absolutely nothing.
Thankfully found absolutely nothing.
In the part where you would, I guess, have to presume is her last known location. If you take all those things into account, the unlikeliness of it, you know, you would have to sort of say that really the river isn't what happened.
The river isn't what happened. You would have to say, given the likelihood of it all, that the river isn't what happened. And I'm wondering, like, if he's not, like, he's obviously looked at the people what they're saying and, like, you know, the media and stuff before he's done this interview. So he knows that people don't think the river's what happened, isn't it?
And so we always felt that the mobile phone and the harness and everything, it could possibly be a decoy.
Did you always felt that, though, that it could possibly be a decoy? You didn't say that's what on the day. You didn't turn up there and say, look, this could be a decoy. You know, you're off looking and going over the hedges and stuff like that. Now it's a decoy. Like, it's like second guessing. It's like almost saying, like, I want to say it feels like he's like giving that, like, double bluff in a way. Like,
again, we don't have evidence.
No, but these are things that you naturally would think about, because, you know, the team's call was still active at the time.
It's like rubbing the hand on the leg again, and it was in the form of a fist. We don't have evidence.
And the Willow's harness is on the floor, and, you know, I'm sure these are things that constantly you're thinking about.
Yeah, of course it is. Of course it is. I mean, like, the only thing we're bothered about is finding her. Like, there's nothing else matters. That's the only thing that we're bothered about. It's just
the only thing we are bothered about finding her. And he was shaking his head a little bit. And of course, earlier on, he was describing how the only thing he was bothered about was his daughters, the girls. So now the only thing that he's bothered about is finding her. Now, finally.
Finding her. So, you know, it's, of course you're going to be thinking these things. And so the more searching of the river that went on, the more confident we were that it wasn't the river. You know, especially things like, again, you know, it's not nice talking about it, but at the same time we've taken hope from it. The fact that no item of clothing or anything has been found anywhere where you would have thought something, you know, would have...
Something might have been found, yeah.
Yeah, and absolutely nothing. So, for me, personally,
while we're talking through this, he is being very... remember when he turned up and they gave him the phone, and then they gave him Willow and he took Willow back and all this. Now it's all very, like, hard to push out every sentence.
Yeah, and this is just my opinion.
He's thinking all of it through very carefully.
I'm 100% convinced it's not the river.
And there's a smile there. Got to be able to pause this right.
Personally, I'm 100% convinced it's not the river.
See his little self-satisfied smile at the end of that. It's not the river.
And I suppose
Chuffing media
Personally,
player.
I'm 100% convinced it's not the river.
Little self-satisfied smile at the end of saying that. I'm in the way a bit, aren't I? Shout me out, I'm in the way. I'm leaning forward a bit. Maybe I'll move my camera a bit so I can lean forward and be on camera still. A little self-satisfied smile. I think it's like a double bluff. Like, I think initially the idea was to throw the river in as like this option, and that's throwing the police off. The police have thought that, and it's wasted a load of time. But she's definitely not in the river, and now you've got away with it, so to speak. Like, and now you're out here saying, yeah, I don't think she's in the river either. Huh? You didn't expect that, did you? You expected me to say, I think she's in the river, keep looking. But no, I'm saying she's not. So I wouldn't say that, would I, if I was guilty? Double bluff, little smile.
Personally, I'm 100% convinced it's not the river. That's my opinion.
I don't know about these keys, yeah. Were her keys in the car? Where were her keys? I'd be really interested to know where her keys were. Yeah, they need finding.
And I suppose the question after that is, what then? And and the difficulty is you allowing your mind to think where she might be and what's happened to her, which...
He was going to say something then. What then? He was going to say something, and Dan kept talking. Let the interviewee talk.
Is horrible as well, I imagine.
Yeah, it's horrendous, because people don't just vanish into thin air. It's absolutely...
Right, this is a big point as well. I'm not going to let him talk. I keep stopping it. People don't just vanish into thin air, is what we said about what he said. He said, she's vanished, and looked like an idiot. Oh, my big hat. Oh, she's vanished. Where's she gone? And then we all said, people don't vanish. That's a strange thing to say. It's a ridiculous thing to say. She's not vanished. You want to find her, don't you? Like, I'm not out going, oh, she's vanished. I'm like, where is she? She's not vanished. That's the last thing she's done. Let's find her. But now he's like, no, she's definitely not vanished. He's going back on what he said originally in that first interview.
Horrible as well, I imagine.
Yeah, it's horrendous, because people don't just vanish into thin air. It's absolutely impossible. So something has happened. Something has happened.
Repeated that twice. Something has happened. Something has happened. Repeated it twice there.
Find out what it is. Find out what it is. There.
And he repeated that twice and slightly shook his head. So why is he repeating these lines more than once? Something has happened. Find out what it is. Why is that? What is repetition helping here? Yes, CNMA's like we agree about this bruise on his cheekbone. I don't know him long enough to say that he doesn't always have a mark on his face, but he certainly seems to have one at the moment, doesn't he?
Has to be a way to find out what happened. There has to be. You cannot walk your dog down a river and just vanish into thin air. Something happened that day. Something happened that day. Something. And this is where I question.
What's happened is we built this premise here. We built this sort of, we're building these like stone brick houses here. Like, she walked her dog. You don't just disappear from walking your dog. Reality here. But walked your dog just got put in there. Bear that in mind. Like, it's not... She got up in the morning at my house and was definitely there with me in my house in the morning. She definitely was there at the school, taking the kids to school. Like, she definitely... you don't definitely just disappear between the school route and home. Or on the dog walk, or definitely walking the dog, or coming home, or... Like, I just feel like we're now absolutely... Unless it's certain that she walked the dog. It seems certain that she walked the dog, doesn't it? It seems certain. It seems certain that she left the car. I don't know if she left the car at the school. I mean, I'm not an expert. I haven't seen the photographs, the evidence to prove it. I'm just saying I agree with what's been reported. But I don't know. Like, I don't know. He's put that into solid stone there. So he's typed it into, hammered it in stone. Like, you don't just disappear off the dog walk. Like, well, okay, maybe you weren't on the dog walk then.
Down a river and just vanish into thin air. Something happened that day. Something. Find out what it is. And my plea now is, personally, I want every house, every garage, every outbuilding, the land scrutinised. I want it all searched. I want it all scrutinised. Every piece of it.
This annoys me because this is what I said in my broadcast. You know, we did 10 facts or 11 facts yesterday or the day before. That's exactly what we said. We looked at all the areas on the Google Earth, didn't we? In the last episode, 11 facts about Nicola Bulley. We looked at all the Google Earth. We looked at all the outhouses and areas. We talked about them on the stream. People brought up the ideas, said that some of them were abandoned, some of them were this, some of them were that. And that's what I said he should be saying. And now he's saying it. It's almost as if he's gone and listened to the media talking about what he should be saying, and now he's saying what he should be saying. And the other thing is that earlier we said the police were doing a great job and that he was happy with them and they were working together and, you know, all good with the police. But now he wants everything to be searched. Well, the police aren't doing their job properly then, are they? Because they can't be doing one or the other. It can't be that you're happy with everything they've done, but also you want them to search everything. Like, if they're not searching everything, you might say, oh, you're not searching enough. I'm happy with what the police did, except I would quite like them to be searching for stuff. He didn't say that. Now he's saying it. Now he's saying it.
And I'm not going to, you're not going to appease me with anything else.
And he did this, which again earlier I said was like blocking, but it's also about moving forward and moving on. And I'm a bit interested in the way that he wants everything to be associated with let's go and look elsewhere. It's like saying, don't look at me for this, don't point the finger at me, let's start pointing the finger everywhere else. I mean, obviously on the innocent side, if he was completely innocent, I would have been saying this 2 days ago, a week ago, 2 weeks ago. I'd have been calling for this 2 weeks ago if I was innocent. But I think he's just cottoned on that this should be the party line.
That.
Her sister walking the dog would pass her. I agree with that, yeah. I think. And if you were trying to pass her, you might put on her coat, you know, stuff like that. It might be woven into your story in some way. That's quite an interesting aspect, is that the witnesses might not be 100% reliable. In the Tia Sharp case, the next door neighbour for Tia Sharp told the police that they were just looking for the right thing here. The next door neighbour to Tia said that they saw Tia Sharp leave the house and walk off to Croydon, and it turned out that Tia Sharp had got murdered and didn't leave the house. So how did they see her leave the house? Well, they didn't see her. They just told a lie, didn't they? Just told one of those bad lies. The chuffers. What's going on here? So people do tell lies. I'm not saying the people in the dog walking are telling lies. I'm saying that people can get confused. And also, if you know someone from your dog walk, like imagine someone you've met on your dog walk, and then tomorrow you see them in the field, but you don't go up to them necessarily. I don't know how close you get to them. You got your hood up, they've got their scarf on. You know, are you sure it's them? Are you sure? You're 100%, 1,000,000%? Or did you just say, look, I saw them, they're in their coat, they got the dog, it's them, isn't it? I'm not fucking looking at them and their passport ID. Pretty sure it was them. Like, how reliable are witnesses?
That is what I want to happen, because for something to have happened there, it's not many. You would only know that area by local people. It's a local area.
This annoyed me as well. They're allowed to go in and get their drone shots, are they? But you're not allowed to go and get your TikToks. They're allowed to go and get drone shots, though.
We've walked down there for years, and I mean years. You see the same faces every single day, and on the very odd occasion when you see somebody that, you know, you don't know, they stand out like a sore thumb. And
I think that's an important point to make, because
a little bit of rambling from him there, which I think makes him look even more worrisome, because this is then saying to me, is she even on that dog walk? You know, is she even on that dog walk? And that's kind of what he was saying, so fair point.
Might be some people watching this thinking, why are you doing this? Why are you talking to us? And the reason you're doing that, I don't want to put words in your mouth, is because you feel that somebody out there knows something, and that's the appeal that you're trying to make.
Yeah.
Thanks very much for putting words in his mouth then.
Definitely.
Definitely, he says, shaking his head.
Definitely, and I'm just pleading with them. Just please, anything, no matter how tiny, just please, just come forward with it, please, because that could be the key to finding her. And as a family, we're not bothered about anything else. Like, there's nothing else. The only thing is, we just have to find her.
And they cut him off there. Yeah. Finally, we get the plea that I was hoping. Like, after being told directly to do the plea, he did the plea. So finally, we get the plea. Should have more to react to this. I'm looking for body language that I was thinking I might have seen earlier in the episode. Maybe we see it because there's more, so I might as well keep pushing on. I remember him doing some body language when I watched it live. Oh, this is the friend. Okay, this is interesting. This is her friend, and she talks about Nicola.
You can't put into words the roller coaster we've been on. The parents' hope, face on, telling them everything's
the Nicola that he loves. What about
there? And then we've got these two little human beings.
We have the answers to solving this.
I was going to make a point. I remember watching this, and I was going to make a point. When she says she is, in the present tense, it comes across very honest because it's almost like she's saying she's.
And the strength that it's given me, I've done. And then the acts of kindness from you to have of inquiry.
Come on, love, let's find the
stuff that dreams are made of, and we've laughed with
Paul tonight.
Everyone in between, and then you take Nikki's lovely, amazing qualities. You add Paul's in there, and then we've got these two little human beings that we've laughed.
Wait.
She's thoughtful, she's kind, she's funny, she's loving, the most loyal friend. More is what she is inside. She's beautiful, she's caring, she's thoughtful, she's kind, she's funny, she's loving, the most loyal friend. She's the stuff that dreams are made of.
And later on, in your own time, go back and check that against the way he spoke about her. She is. Because he didn't say she's so naturally, and it didn't roll off the tongue. It was she is with a little smile, where he was careful to get the answer right, whereas she didn't have to think about it. She just got it right when she talked about her. So that was her. They got these other chuffers. That was that part then. No more Paul in that part. Next part. There's more Paul. These are the adverts in between the parts that I actually wanted to catch to make sure that we could see how inappropriate all these adverts are in between the two parts that go on all the time. Here's the final part. Here's Paul again. Paulie Paul, Snoop Paulie Paul. Researching how they would police him, so that's a worry.
You told us a bit about who Nikki is.
Yeah.
I hope.
Was she ever the sort of person who might
Why is my media player playing in that?
go away for a night or leave for a few days? You know what I mean?
It's about as far out of character as you could get. You know, I truly mean that. Like, even as a couple, on the odd occasion, if we ever do have a night away from the girls, because the girls are our world. Like, we go out for meals, the girls.
What's going on there? On the odd occasion where we do have a night away from the girls, but earlier you said she'd never had a night away from the girls, not since the first one had been born, not even one night away, and now you do sometimes have a night away from the girls.
Come with us.
But now the girls go with you.
Our whole,
family.
Yeah, everything that we do is.
I didn't like
the
that.
The girls are in it, they're involved in it.
Everything we do is.
Yeah, everything that we do is. The girls are in it, they're involved in it. And that feels right. You know, that's how we love it. We love our little family. We love our world.
And your gorgeous dog Willow's been spending a bit of time with us as well. And it's also that thing that
Willow's obviously on the sofa next to him, look. She's off shot, but Willow prefers sitting next to him. Weird, isn't it?
Willow may well have seen.
I know.
To Nikki.
I know, and that's another layer of frustration and
another layer of what? Frustration. There was this look. Willow knows what's happened. Willow's seen it, and he doesn't dispute this. He doesn't say, "Well, what has Willow seen?" If only she could talk. Like he says, "Yeah, I know. Willow saw it all." Do you know what I mean? It's like almost like an admin. Like you're not saying you did it, but you're saying, "Yeah, I know. Willow saw it all." How do you know Willow saw it all? Well, you know, Willow saw it all anyway. Like
family.
Yeah. Everything that we do is. The girls are in it, they're involved in it, and that feels right. You know, that's
there's a smile there as well. There was a smile there.
That feels right.
That feels right. There's a smile there. I'm getting a bit. To be honest, it's past midnight now, and I've already watched this once tonight, and I was like, oh, I've got all these things to say, and now I'm getting tired, and I feel like I'm just like, you might notice my energy start to like, you know, reduce. So I'll keep letting it play and I'll keep picking out the things and hoping to do a good job. But I can see there's a smile here, but he's talking about something to do with the children and involving them in his day-to-day life, and that feels right. It's a strange smile, and it's almost got that sneer in it as well, hasn't it, that he had earlier when he was talking about all those things that he has to do with the children. Maybe he doesn't agree with that. Maybe he can't be arsed with it all the damn time. Maybe I'm seeing a sneer as well as a smile. I don't know.
You know, that's how we love it. We love our little family. We love our world.
And your gorgeous dog Willow's been spending a bit of time with us as well, and it's also that thing that Willow may well have seen.
I know.
To Nikki.
I know, and that's another layer of frustration and hell to it. You know, it's a hellish situation with the layer of hell that not knowing what's happened yet, and then also having Willow, who probably does know what happened, but she can't tell us, can she? And
that's a bit of a cause for you to do a half smile that you turn into a frown. Like you're covering up your smile here with a frown. The fact that Willow can't tell is a cause for a half smile but a frown.
She's a very sensitive dog. I did take her back there first thing on the Saturday.
The next day?
The next day, yeah, I took her back there first
thing.
thing.
How did she react to that then?
Well, I was praying and hoping that once we got to the gate that she would do something different, you know, just to
take you somewhere.
Yeah, just give some sign of some kind. But she, bless her, she just went through the gate like any other normal day and ran into the field and looked at me excited that she was there for a walk.
That probably saved her life, didn't it? Because if she'd take you over to where she thought she last saw Nicola, she might not be seen again herself. Interestingly, I just wanted to bring this back. When he actually described going to the gate, he did this piece of body language that earlier I described as blocking body language like a gate, and he actually does it for the gate, so that thing's true.
Once we got to the gate
there, like, you know, he moves his hand out in front of him and makes that sort of blocking motion. That represents the gate in his mind there, and that's like a physical barrier, isn't it? A real world barrier, the gate. So that
she would do something different, you know, just to
take you somewhere.
Yeah, just give some sign of some kind. But
it's really interesting, isn't it? Because you kind of think
she just went.
You would do that if you would also, if you wanted to try and help the dog, try and help to find Nicola, you'd probably take the dog out and do that. So that might ring true. But also, if you wanted to check that the dog wasn't going to grass you up, you might also do that. So that might ring true.
Through the gate like any other normal day and ran into the field and looked at me excited that she was there for a walk.
He doesn't cross his arms like he's being attacked, but he does use this motion, like when he did with the gate, like to establish like a safe space that is his body language space. That, you know, you got to bear in mind he's also aware that he's on telly, isn't he? So he's trying to think about how he's coming across in this one.
I was saying to her, "Where's mummy? Where's mummy?" You know, and she was just looking at me like,
"You did it.
You know, let's go for a walk."
She was looking at me like, "What, mate?"
There's been a lot of publicity around Nikki's disappearance, isn't there? And I suppose you are one of those stories that is very
chewing again. Like when he's listening to the thing, he's chewing over what he was going to say.
Much talked about on social media at the moment. I don't know whether you've read the stories, the accusations, all the theories that are out there. Does that upset you, or are you happy that people are talking about and trying to find a solution?
It would be upsetting, of course, if I let myself read it all. Don't get me wrong.
It would be upsetting if I let myself read it all, which is weird. Kind of weird to say. I mean, obviously, it is upsetting, isn't it? If someone's accusing you of murdering someone that you love and you didn't murder them, it would be upsetting if it would be. It is. It is.
I have seen some stuff. Most people have been amazing.
Yeah.
You know, you're always going to get that 2% of people that, for whatever reason, you know, say and do not very nice things. But I don't want to give any energy to that. Like, my energy is just finding Nikki.
Because we haven't talked a lot about Nikki in this Finding Nikki piece, is it? It's a lot about you, and that's what the focus seems to be on. Fair enough.
Of course it is.
Yeah.
You know, like, I knew that would happen, you know, on the first day.
And I suppose you expect that, don't you? Yeah.
I expected that. I said to them.
This was the police bit. Sorry, I skipped on about.
But I don't want to give any energy to that. Like, my energy is just finding Nikki.
Oh, Dan's leg is crossed. That means he's blocking Paul off. Yeah, he's also pointing it towards the camera. I think Dan might be showing that some status here as well by showing us the bottom of his soul. I think Dan feels quite like that. Bear in mind, Dan here today has got the big interview that everyone's like, you know, he's a TV person who wants to be on TV as much himself as to get the big interview, it seems, because like he's in shot. Make sure you get me in shot. Gonna need me in this. I'd rather just see a wide angle of this guy the whole time.
I read one that said the police need to look at the partner, and I'm sort of like, well, yeah, that's the first thing that they do. Like,
that's condescension.
Of course it is.
Yeah.
You know.
Of course it is, and he does the shrug of the shoulders, like, you know, believe me, it's not me. You know, shrug of the shoulders.
Like, I knew that would happen. You know,
I knew that would happen.
On the first day.
On the first day. Because do you know what? On the first day that I call the police to try and help find my missing loved one, if they then say, right, we're going to have you in for an interview because we think it might be you, I'd be like, I didn't know this was going to happen. I called you to try and help find her. Didn't know I was all of a sudden going to be under the cosh because I'm innocent, so what the fuck are you doing this? But he knew he was going to be in on that first day. So he's got his, you know, he's already prepared for that.
You expect that, don't you? Yeah.
I expected that. I said to them, do it and get that out of the way, and then focus on
finding her.
On finding her and focus on the rest of it. So that's exactly what we did, you know. It was
focus on finding her, involve this motion out with his hands like that. And I'm going to reiterate that I think there's something he's, you know, subconsciously telling us about this, like the spirit guides are telling us now, you know, this thing of his house.
That was done, ruled out, obviously.
Tracker dogs, item of clothing from Nicola and Sent, that would have been a good idea, yeah. Very interesting, Palumbo, good idea.
And then move on. So, you know, whatever, you know, people want to say, and you know, if that's what they want to think, that's their business. It's not mine.
But I know you've also been struck by the amazing response locally, and you know, just being here for today, everybody's talking.
He looks like anguished at that, in a way. The amazing response, like kind of anguished.
Talking about it, everyone's asking how you are. And the local community, whether they're standing out on the street corner or putting posts.
So yeah, I would forensic his vehicle as well, but like they're not treating it as a crime, are they? So they're not doing any of these things, I don't think, which is kind of weird to me.
Up or just asking questions, they are doing an amazing job.
Yeah, it's absolutely incredible. Like it's heartwarming. It's given us an immense amount of
heartwarming, but no smiles or anything like that.
Strength. And it's kept
and a tremendous amount of strength.
That hope. So
hope. It's the first time we've heard the word hope as well, I think, isn't it? But his face doesn't ring with any of these emotions.
High. That we can't thank them enough.
How are you keeping it? Is that the kids? Is that your natural positivity?
It's all of those things. Of course it's the children, of course. But I am naturally a positive person. And I believe that you get out of life what you put into life.
He's doing this thing again with his hands, like when he describes what you get out of life and put into life. Getting out, putting in, getting out.
And that's how we are as a family. And so
that's how we are as a family. So I'm just saying, like, you know, he's using these words, getting in, pulling out, putting in, getting out as a family, this space thing. I'm wondering what's going on, really. Wondering what's going on a little bit. Maybe there's some other reason these words are like jumbling around his mind.
So what we're going through now is like unprecedented hell, but that hope and that positivity in me is stronger than ever, and I'm never ever going to let go.
I'm never ever going to let go.
He would never give up on us ever.
Nicky would never give up on us ever.
But that hope and that positivity in me is stronger than ever, and I'm never ever going to let go. Nicky would never give up on us ever.
Nicky would never give up on us ever. Would never. Nicky would never give up on us ever. She would never. Is that past tense, Nicky? Did we get that now by accident? Nicky would never give up on us ever. Instead of Nicky doesn't ever give up on anyone ever. I don't know. Would seems it's a bit loose. Maybe I might not be grammatically knowledgeable enough to say that's past tense, but maybe it is.
That hope And that positivity in me is...
And the idea is that you've got this hope and positivity. Find Maddie campaign, it's always ongoing, and that as long as that's going on, you haven't found her and you don't know what's happened to her. So as long as that's going on, I'm innocent and I'm fine.
It's stronger than ever, and I'm never ever going to let go. Nikki would never.
And I'm never going to let go. Doing this earlier and this thing, pushing this down and like all this, and I'm never going to let go.
Give up on us ever. She wouldn't give up on anybody. And we're not going to ever give up on her. Like, we're going to find her.
We were talking earlier and you were saying that one of the plans you had was to get married during the pandemic, but you sort of, like many people, you had to abandon those plans. Is that something that you think, you know, when she's back, this is what we're doing?
Yeah. I'm far too laid back sometimes for my own good. But also my attitude is, you know, we'll get around to it. It'll be fine. And so we have obviously spoken about, you know, marriage many times.
That sounds like a dispute, doesn't it? Rather than like, I'm really laid back and I just, like, my wife's always going on at me about this thing and I keep going, it'll be fine.
Before, and then we had the children. When your children are, you know,
smiling going on here and again.
Obviously, you know, little, it's, you know, all time consuming. And then as they were growing up, we always said when they're a bit older, you know, be a nice time to do it, and they can be a part of it. They can, you know, be the bridesmaids and everything. So that was always the plan. And so, you know, it's just now. You know, it's something we would have obviously, you know,
we would have
spoken about it and moved forward with a gamble.
We would have. I mean, we are talking about the past, so it's okay to talk in the past tense there, but we're getting past tense again.
But, and still will.
And still will. See, there we go. Now we've sorted it out. He's made sure he said the right thing in the right tense there, and still will. So he's not talking about her as if she's already dead.
There is a chance, isn't there, that somehow...
And he can still get married, can't he? But just to somebody else.
She might be out there even watching this. If you could say something to her, what would you say to Nikki now?
He laughs at that. Almost like they've been through some shit that we don't know about. What would you say to her now?
Somehow, she might be out there even watching this. If you could say something to her, what would you say to Nikki now?
Just how much I love her.
The dog actually whimpered there, just audibly. The dog whimpered.
What would you say to Nikki now?
Just how much I love her, how much us as a family love her and need her, how well thought of, how much her friends love her and need her back. And
back from...
We're never going to be the same until she is back.
We're never going to be the same again until she's back. It's a funny wording here a little bit. It's almost like you might say a eulogy or something. You know, we're all going to miss you. Or like, it's almost a bit, yeah.
Just come home.
Come home.
Are you going to be okay?
Come home, assuming therefore that nobody's taken her or nothing bad's happened to her and she's not in the river. Just come home. If you could see her, just tell her to just come home. It's a bit of a strange one as well. And are you going to be okay? And he gives him a big smile. It's a bit weird.
As long as she comes home. But yeah, I have to be okay for the children. But obviously the hope inside me that she's going to come home. That I can't let myself, think of anything else. It isn't an option in my head.
That's how you would do it, isn't it? Do you want to reliably look like you're describing this feeling? Yeah, well, don't let any other options enter your head then. I thought earlier it was all options, you said. It was all options. Anything could have happened. We need to keep all these options open. Now it's just only one option in my head.
We deserve a happy ending to all of
Those
this.
flowers they look almost like funeral flowers, don't they, in the background on like a coffin. I'm surprised by these flowers. I think they're at their house. I think they're at their own private residence. But where are all these flowers from and what's going on with them? It's strange, isn't it?
You know, you can't have this level of support, this level of love and compassion and hope and prayers without getting a reward from that. In my mind, that is impossible. You know, when you think of all the hope and everything that's going out there, it has to come back. And that has to bring her home.
All of that out there has to come back, was the body language there, pointing at himself, back on you. All the stuff that's out there in the media sphere starts coming back on you.
I really appreciate you talking to us. I know it's impossibly difficult. You've described your life at the minute as...
I remember watching the first time round, and I seem to remember him doing this sort of body language in the middle of the room, saying about here and something about here, which I don't seem to have picked up on this time round, which is going to annoy the chuff out of me, because whenever I do these things, I watch it back a second time, and there's always something I've missed or something I look at differently, and I always think, God, I wish I'd said that the first time round.
As a living hell. I hope what you said makes a difference as well, and I think everybody watching this will join me in saying that we all hope that Nikki comes home and that she is safe and well, and you can be back together.
Very, very stunted nodding of the head there. Not like a full proper nodding of the head, but like a really stunted nodding of the head.
And that she is safe and well, and you can be back together.
Yeah. Thank you.
Thank you, Paul.
And then we cut before he could do any more smiling. And then at the end here, this guy Chufford says that Paul definitely didn't do anything and he's definitely innocent, which is weird. I'm still a bit annoyed that I didn't see the body language that I was referring to when he said about here, and he was pointing in the room. So I've got time to look at it. What's that there?
You know, be a nice time to do it, and they can be a part of it. They can, you know, be the
That's talking about the wedding
and everything. So that was always the plan.
That was talking about the weddings, that wasn't it? I'm going to go backwards through them. That was the adverts that I saved. Let's have a look at this one. That was the mate, wasn't it? And then he wasn't in that one, the chuffer. And then this one. Where are he putting his hands up?
And thankfully found absolutely nothing in the part where you would, I guess, have to presume is her last known location.
There, look. So subconsciously, he has said her last known location and done this with his hands, and that makes me feel like you're in that location.
If you take all those things into account,
because they're talking about the diving,
the unlikeliness of it, you know, you would have to sort of say that really the river isn't what happened, and so we always felt that the mobile phone and the harness and everything, it could possibly be a decoy. Again, we don't have evidence.
No, but these are things that you naturally would think about, because you know the team's call was still active at the time, wasn't it? And the Willow's harness is on the floor, and you know, I'm sure these are things that constantly you're thinking about.
Yeah, of course it is. Of course it is. I mean, like, the only thing we're bothered about is finding her. Like, there's nothing else matters. That's the only thing that we're bothered about, is just finding her. So, you know, it's of course you're going to be thinking these things.
Of course you're going to be thinking this. Not of course I am thinking this, but of course you would be going to be thinking this. You know, it's a different form of language there, actually. Very carefully done there, but different form of language. And where was this bit where he was doing that with his hand? And we found I just found it literally then, man. Like, it's fucked up. I mean, I'm pretty stoned now, so probably do a better job of this if I'd left it till morning and come at it, or done it live when it happened. But I was worried about it being binned off if we did it live. You know, it doesn't like you sometimes.
And the difficulty is you allowing your mind to think where she might be and what's happened to her, which is horrible as well, I imagine.
Yeah, it's horrendous, because people don't just vanish into thin air. It's absolutely impossible.
He described it as horrendous as well. You know, it makes me think that something horrendous happened to her, and they don't vanish into thin air. And earlier in this as well. I will never be able to find this now unless I watch it all the way through from the start, which will annoy me. But he said something about being put in a hole or buried or something. It makes me think that she's not like. I think something might have happened at that house, that she didn't get on the dog walk, and he rubs his hand on his leg a lot, doesn't he? Let me just ask the internet what the internet says about that. This is Media Player, you can see, but I'll get us a Firefox window open. Let's have a look at some Firefox stuff. That was the one with my this, that's that. Let's just get it bigger. Embiggen it, please. Thanks, Firefox. Like that. And well, first of all, ask rubbing the leg, body, not someone else's leg, but your own leg. Hang on. Let's get this right. Google. Rubbing your leg, body, language. High stress. They're saying high stress, calming your nerves down. I can dig with that, yeah. Self-soothing, high stress. High stress. Rubbing the sweat from their palms. I can dance to that, yeah. And we were there the other day on Google Maps. Sign in. Up over here. This is the river. It's not that Catford Inn. St Michael's on Wire over here. This is that river, isn't it? And then it curves up like this. This is it. This is right there. In the middle is the bench. That's the school where the car is parked. So this is where the stuff is found. And we were saying the other day that this caravan park is of interest, as is this place, Rowan Water, which has its own lake. All sorts of things, yeah. People with autism do soothing techniques. It's a soothing condition, yeah. The only thing I wasn't able to bring, because I watched this first when it was live on the thing, and the only thing I wasn't able to bring out was, I feel like I'm getting tired now, you see, so my ability to do a sharp body language analysis has petered out. But he did say some other stuff that I could bring up, so what I might do is I might watch it again and make little notes and maybe do a video version with some of the bits I missed, maybe when I'm a bit more awake and with it. This stream has been rolling now for 2 hours 17 minutes. What I would encourage you to do, if you've just discovered the content and you've just discovered my channel, that's awesome. Thanks for your subscriptions. If you haven't done, please subscribe. But also check out on the channel, this channel, I do lives. The videos were, I used to play video games and upload the video games from Twitch, so don't worry so much about the videos. It's mainly the lives here. We do a podcast. I've done playlists to make it easy for you to like find out what's going on, all in playlists. And there's also other channels. There's like a cuts channel, a clips channel, a reviews channel, Mental Health Monday, even an ASMR channel, for Christ's sake. I do other channels. Battery Exhausted is my B-side channel, where I do other sort of lives as well. So there's all sorts of stuff going on this channel as a portal. Super Chuffer channel. I'm also on Twitch, if that's your bag, if you like Genshin Impact, which you might not. I also play games on Twitch as well, so lots of other stuff to find out. And on Monday, we're doing criminals who publicly appealed for their victims. So Monday, I have a forensic psychologist come on and do the show with me. So anything that says "thus" there with Steve, that's got a forensic psychologist involved. So we're going to do. this case, we don't know what's going on with this man that may or may not have whatever with Nicola, but the other cases that we do know about, the Soa murders, the Tia Sharp, the Shannon Matthews, those sort of things, going to be in Thus. We're going to do an episode on those chuffers. So that's on Monday, scheduled. Get it in your schedule. Thanks very much for tuning in tonight. I just really wanted to, I watched this thing live on the telly. Excuse me, I can feel my nose is getting a bit stuffy because I've been sitting here talking for a long time, smoking for a bit. And it's getting late. Cadaver dog on the dinghy, they could sense death sense in the water. That would have been a good idea. Or in their house as well. I think the house should be rigorously searched. And I don't know about this guy's, what is Paul Ansell's motive? What is Paul Ansell's alibi? Alibi? I don't know how to spell alibi. Not publicly revealed his alibi yet. I think I'd like to see what that alibi is. What the guaranteed alibi is, and also if there's others involved. If someone's been having an affair on either side and someone's caught someone and they've had a big row, there might be another person involved in that might be around. And I didn't like the fact that again, you can check the recent live I did, Nicola Bulley 11 Facts. His sister was on that. Her sister was on it laughing, wasn't she? So that was a bit of a chuffer. Yeah, thanks for all being here. It's nice to see new people that because if I stream at regular times, I see regular people, but seeing some different people and seeing some people that I recognise as well. So thanks very much for being here. And I'm going to stop talking because I've been talking for absolutely ages now. You be a good chuffer out there. Of course, remember, all that stuff came from my spirit guide. I don't think Paul necessarily definitely did it. I don't know. I'm not there. I'm just watching interviews and saying this smells a bit fishy. This looks a bit funny. It's just a YouTube channel with just ideas, just looking into it. I'll tell you what I didn't like though, before we finish, I will just quickly say that. What I didn't like at all, let me get Firefox off bin, was at the end of the show here, what they did, I really didn't like this.
27th should have been just another day, a day when Nicola Bulley should have been simply... We just hope for some good news.
Everyone is behind them. Everybody's. He's been cleared of everything. He's not involved in this. He's absolutely cleared. So everyone, please back Paul and not stop all this social media rubbish. He's a good man.
How come that guy gets to go on the telly and just say stop all this social media rubbish? He's a good man. How come that's the story that we're tell me why, show me evidence, show me facts. We're smart people. I'll back Paul if Paul is innocent, but I can't just have you telling me what to do. I didn't like that at all. I think we should be on social media questioning everything, finding out facts. I think that's good things. So I think the police should be doing a bit more as well, personally. I think they should be treating it with a bit more seriousness. Certainly if it was someone that was close to me and they were missing, I would like to think we were doing everything we could and that I'd been rigorously put under the spotlight. I suppose Paul has. I suppose he has. I don't know. But anyway, you be a good Pukos. You be a good chuffer. And Julie says she watched the TV show too. And I picked up on some of the things she did. Well, that's good to know that other people think in a similar way. If you do think in a similar way, like I said, check out the rest of the stuff on this channel, on the lives mainly, and then on the other channels that we do. So at the top bar, you'll have shorts, playlists, community channels. Check that top bar, check the lives, check the channels. See if there's stuff you enjoy on that. And we'll be back officially. I'll be back on here officially on Monday, scheduled with a forensic psychologist talking about crimes where people went on the internet or the telly and said that they were innocent. Can you help find them? And they turned out to be guilty. So, does anyone know if Paul's a Freemason? I don't know about all that sort of stuff. I don't know about all that. And yeah, I just think, like I said, for the more. It might just be the police have got a lot on their plate and it's a big investigation, and without any actual evidence to point in a direction, it's hard for them to want to start spending money they don't have, doing a big investigation. I don't know. Maybe it's not that dark. Maybe it's just they haven't got the resources. Maybe we'll end up talking about it in a much more deep and interesting way about that Freemasonry another time, because I don't know enough about it, so maybe we'll talk about it another time. Yeah, it's nearly 1 o'clock in the morning where I am, so I'm going to knock it on the head. Thanks for being here, and I hope this was interesting and not horrible, vile social media conjecture. Yeah, it's been good. You've been good. Let's hope we can find Nicola for her daughters. Remember, if you can't be good, you're naughty. Maybe we're still on. Maybe we're still on because I pressed start streaming again. 5 Minute Films wants to say something. Go ahead, 5 Minute Films, say something. If you've got 5 minutes. You need 2 minutes. Go on then. Take your 2 minutes. I'll tell you what I'll do. I'm going to quickly take a bathroom break. You type like huge amounts of whatever in chat. I'll quickly put on something for you to watch while I'm in the bathroom, which can be what can it be? What could it be? Might as well put a bit of what our recent podcast that we did. It seems elaborate. I wanted to take Kelly says Jerry was quickly concerned about the high rate. I keep saying the word, don't I? Eventually we're going to have to learn what the because I'm not saying it in a bad way. I'm actually talking about it, but YouTube just doesn't. I need to know what the words are. There's a high rate of these chuffers in the area. I actually know that Jerry since Madeline disappeared. He got about police as part of the Portuguese police investigation. They looked at bedrooms and Jerry had books about how the police investigate, about how people behave, and he'd got himself interested in the workings of this whole stuff. So Jerry was. I don't know if he's doing it for what reasons. But I know that he's someone who can bring up. Like if you leave him to his own devices, he's gonna in the same way as the police bring up lots of stories, ideas. I don't know how much of that is cheese pizza. That's a good way to say it. Cheese pizza.
I've got that one. The Woking Pizza Express crew.
Pizzagate 23. Right, I'm back. That's that being said. No, not that being said. Sorry, what am I saying? That's Thus Podcast. Steve of the Dead is a criminal psychologist. Forensic psychologist, and I get him in to do the old chat. Okay. 4 businesses over the last 10 years. 2 went bankrupt. 1 was struck off on 7th of February 23. There's a money problem. Okay, that's a good, interesting idea, but that's not your main point. I think interestingly, a lot of us will be under pressure for things like that in day-to-day life, but. That's quite an interesting, extreme version of money problems, I think, isn't it? Yeah. So the guy's a little bit of a loose cannon in that way, maybe. Is now a good idea to do this. I could get you on the show if you wanted, just come on your phone and just tell me what you're thinking out loud. Could do that if you want, if it's easier than typing it all. Google Maps. Let's get Google Maps out. What do you want me to Google Maps? They lived at that address. Did it not? It's not putting the address in. I can't see the address. Oh, there you go. Okay. This is a bit hectic. It might count as doxing them. They don't currently live there, yeah? They don't currently live there. This is a caravan site, it's telling me. Search for Larbeck Hall. That's the hall itself. That's like big country property, like a couple of £1 million, isn't it? barn conversion stuff going on. Might be a farm these days, something like that. Looks like a farm. You've got farm baling. They used to live at the hall. Look at what's yards north and yards south. How far, like, yards. Up here's the caravan site in the river. And then down here we've got like a horsey place. Fishing thing, sporting thing. Don't know how wide you want the range there. Garstong Road is immediately south. This road here. They live on the river. Yeah, I'm happy with that. Like, they live on the river. Well, they did. The river was immediately north. Go back to the Labrec Hall and zoom in. This is Labrec Hall. Might close this bit. Labrec Hall. There's quite a few cars there. It looks like it's some sort of working buildings out the back here as well, where maybe you might rent out a little thing for a cattery or something. Looks like a working farm to me. You thought you saw a red van. I mean, this is just an aerial photograph that was taken for Google Maps, so I don't know if it's got anything to do with the case, but and then where is it that we are? We're up here, over here, for where the dog walk happened, over here. So we're not far away. Sorry, 5-minute films. Did I miss something? Have I covered this, or is there something that I'm supposed to get or catch that I'm missing? Since we're still here and we're all chatting, I'll tell you what. I thought I had a better vision on things when I was watching that body language through for the first time. I hope I got enough out of it, but I actually just really feel that the tension in it feels to me like there's this inbuilt tension in him, and it's not normal the way I would expect him to be. And what I feel about it instinctively, maybe more than anything, is that she goes out, he's got an hour to himself, and during that hour something has happened, and what's happened is either he's gone out and caught her, or she's come home and caught him doing something that struggling to stream now apparently. Why are you struggling to stream each other? You should be fine. Not receiving enough video. Yes, you are, YouTube. You are receiving enough video. Yeah, I just instinctively feel like, someone's had a big row at some point. And that's why I say I'm not sure she even left the house. I'm saying, maybe it happened at the house and then they've had to cover up. I also want to look for is... Nicola, Bulley. You wanted to see red van. I'll ask for red van. Police hunt the driver of a tatty red van, but continue to insist nothing untoward. When was this? 10th February. That's yesterday. Could be, could not be. Could be, could not be. They confirm they are hunting for a shabby red van. Could be, could not be. Could be that, these people, you find them, they rule themselves out. Or it could be that it's really important, this red van. Could be, could not, yeah, could be, could not be. It's a bit like Emmerdale as well. I know the Emmerdale's a soap opera, but like you get these relationships going on between people that live cheek by jowl in the countryside, don't you? And it's usually a crime of passion. Like usually it's someone that knows somebody, isn't it? It's not usually just a randomer. Even if you thought this person's getting in a bit of a routine, and you might be able to spot their routine. Like she's a grown woman. She's not like some like. Kids have got a routine, aren't they, for school? Like, lots of people have got a routine, but she's not some easy mark, I don't think. So I like to think more close to home if I can. And what I've seen close to home, I don't like the smell of. Don't like that at all. I'd also like to find out if Nicola... Bulley CCTV. I'd like to find out if the CCTV is reliable. Let's just put images. Like, how reliable is this? I mean, that's her hair colour, I suppose. That's her clothes. It's not her face. I don't even know if that's her clothes, but I'm assuming it is. It's not her face, though, and he's not doing it. He said he put the dog in the car that day, but he's not doing it. So there's that. This is the image from the... I'm assuming school, when she's dropped off the kids at school. Is that a mark on her face? Because if this is the best we're going on with the CCTV, I'm still not 100% on that. I want a bit more information, I think, about the images we do have, like the evidences we do have. Like a little bit more information, please, on that. You think that's her at the house? And then also, I'll tell you what I don't know. I haven't got like recording CCTV of my day in the morning, but does it save as a file? Does it have metadata? Have the police got the metadata? Is it guaranteed? Is it just a copy of yesterday's one? This is caught on CCTV as she makes the last school run, it says. So what's weird about this is that her hair tied back here looks blonde on top, or it looks like there's something, doesn't even look like hair there in a way, and then it looks darker underneath, doesn't it, in a way? That's not someone in a wig, is it? It's definitely not, is it? Maybe her hair just is darker underneath. Yeah, it is darker underneath, isn't it? She's actually naturally darker haired. I'm just like looking at the things now, just chilling on the internet because, you're here, we're here. Just was going to turn it off, but was waiting to see what 5 Minute Films was going to say. Or what the river where she went missing and the police are searching, and next door to where they used to live. They used to live next door to the river where she went missing and the road next door to that river. So I'm speculating they know the river and the road if she's disappeared. Yeah, I don't. I'm almost 100% that she's not gone in that river myself, but I can't be anything like 100% because I'm not anywhere near the investigation, am I? But these are the blind spots. Telling me there's a CCTV blind spot and it's up here. says that you could enter and exit out through there, yeah, but it doesn't tell me that you have her on CCTV over here for definite, does it? Apparently you do. And then I'm to know exactly where, like, the way that you would rule out Paul is you would say she's definitely on CCTV at a certain place at a certain time, and Paul is definitely on CCTV at another place at another time, or, you know, to that effect, wouldn't it? And I'd like to know where her sister was during all this, just out of interest. I don't know. I hope more comes out. That was my little look into the body language of the interview, which I hope I did a reasonable job for you all. I try my hardest. I did used to do a body language channel on YouTube, like a full one, some many moons ago. Have done some study. Did study psychology at university. Didn't get a degree. Did quit. You know, did drop out of university, but I did go there and I did study psychology. So I've had a bash at that, and I hope we can find Nicola for her kids. That's the main thing, isn't it? So you be good, my little podcast. If you've got any other ideas, put them in the comments, because I will make videos about them. Yeah, I don't know why they haven't released the actual video from the door, but I'll tell you what, with all of this, actually, Sienna, is that I'd like to think if I was running a campaign to try and find my missing loved one, any information is important and everything is transparent. Get everything out there. Let's have people, you know, anyone might spot at something. I don't know why it's being held back in this weird way, unless it's a criminal investigation, in which case, you know, some things are really important that they don't just show everyone, aren't they? I'd like to think that police have got a little ace up their sleeve, and in a couple of days something drastic changes, but I worry that it might just pass off as a missing persons that never gets found, like Madeleine McCann. And obviously, you know, I've actually done quite a lot of videos about Madeleine McCann. That's, if you go to, you're watching this channel, you're watching my channel, this channel, Super Chuffer channel, and you go to the lives and you scroll down, there's a Madeleine McCann Forensic Psychology in 2023, but also I've got a playlist for it where we read the book of the detective that was on the case wrote a book and they tried to ban it. So when they went into court and they said, you can't ban that, then we read it on the internet. Have that. And I've done body language on them in interviews as well, so might want to get your head around that. Thanks very much for subscribing. I really appreciate it. Anything else like this happens, I'm going to try and keep up to date with it. Obviously, with Nicola Bulley's case, try and keep up to date with it. But I am aware that I don't want to just be trying to wring out content out of someone that might have gone through a trauma or even been murdered. You know, I'm not here to make a buck off a murder. So, like, I'm not just going to come back tomorrow and make another episode and another episode and another episode. I will keep making content, but I won't just be on Nicola Bulley every time, because, like, let's give it some space now. Let's hope that that interview kicks some other things into gear. I'll rewatch it. I'll listen to all your comments. I'll read all your comments on the video. You know, after this is gone live, I'll look into all your comments that you leave on this, and then I might make another body language video a bit more after I've watched it over again. Like that was my instinctive first reaction. I might make another one with a bit more thought. But yeah, if you're still into watching more of my stuff, go and watch more of it. I'm going to get off now. You be a good chuffer, and remember, if you can't be good, then you're naughty.